realize you getting knocked on the door was going to...
It's time for
Jeez,
Roll for Combat.
Oh my God, you guys are like, you're giddy today. You won't stop talking. Everyone's like, wee.
You said to talk to test it.
Oh
Derek
my God. Well, we're live, so stop
tossed.
talking. Anyhow, welcome to Roll for Combat.
Look what we have to deal with.
We are convalescing. What?
Derek said, look what we have to deal with.
Oh God, it was, yeah. We have a lot to deal with. Today is going to be a crazy, crazy stream.
No, the hyperbole is crazy here. That's what's crazy.
It's crazy. Oh, come on. Everyone was saying how crazy it was. Dude,
no,
there was
they
a
weren't.
storm.
No,
Yes, they were. Yes, they were.
All right. Okay, I will concede that I've never had to shelter in place before during a Gen Con. So I will concede
that you never saw it rain inside Gen Con.
Correct. I can concede all of those points.
You can concede.
No, I thought the year that the Lorcana people were fighting in the lines, that was crazier. The year that whole like mega palette of Magic the Gathering cards got missing, it was stolen. That was crazy. Like,
no,
I mean, there's
okay. You're talking about external stupid forces. I'm talking about internal gaming forces, things we actually care about.
Or you could also say that like D&D came back to Gen Con in force and God decided to try to wipe them off of the face of the planet.
They tried and failed. No, well, God, they came back in force and they let everyone know. So
people have been constantly asking me when we're talking about this, like, why did they leave and why did they come back? Which I don't know if anyone directly told you, Steven, but if you look at the timing of when they left, it almost has to be because it was during COVID. There was a time when it just kind of didn't really.
No, they were there. They left before COVID,
and it was around that time then, though, that they just start. Well, they had really tamped down, right? They'd gone really small.
Mark, I think they tamped down for me. I mean, with the end of 4th edition.
Yeah, they tamped down for years, but then they eventually just like stopped completely.
Yeah, you know why?
And I feel like a bean counter somewhere saw that they had not made that much, that they still made great money because it was during a time that there was an uptick for them anyway, when they had done less stuff at Gen Con, and then said, let's not do Gen Con at all. We're spending even the amount of money for the small presence there, and it's not doing anything.
Wait. Let's back up. I'm not going to go about this. We've covered this extensively. That's not what this show's about. In 2014, they had one full-time employee at Wizards of the Coast, and that was it. Everyone else was sorry. They had one full-time D&D employee, and that was it. Yeah. Every other person, including the D&D team, was put onto Magic. And in fact, that's why the DMG is so bad, is because was it who wrote it?
James
Wyatt?
may have had to do it by himself.
Yeah, he wrote half the book, and then he was put on. This is public record. He was put on Magic, and didn't want to go, but they put him on it anyhow. And then they literally threw together the rest of the book with like random writers.
We know
but
why
they had no money.
They had an unavoidable tamp down for a while, but but once they got more people, my guess is that they couldn't come back.
Yeah, but you can't come back that easy. And more importantly,
no. It's part of a broader corporate strategy too, because that was all during the same timeline. And yes, they had already started ramping it down, Mark. And then COVID provided them with the excuse to like fully shut things down and then be like, see, it was COVID. But
and
really,
if it was COVID, their sales went up, so it probably looked like it was smart to not
They were
go.
doing that they did that same thing with Magic, Mark. They killed the Pro Tour. They killed all promotional because they said
everything died.
No, because they said, you idiots are going to buy all this anyways.
Yeah.
But then the difference is that they went back.
Number one.
They went back big time this year for D&D. And I'm curious and excited about why that is, that they shifted the strategy.
I'll be honest with you. I don't think they had to. I don't think they needed to.
But they chose to. So someone there wanted to spend all that money.
Well, it's on record. If you watch the Roll for Combat stream videos that are posted on the channel right now with Dan Ayub, because Derik recorded them all and has been editing them. Dan said why. Dan was 4 days into the job, Dan Ayub, head of Dungeons and Dragons. He went to Gen Con and said, this is pathetic. And this is on public. You can watch our stream. I asked him about this. I don't know if it's up on the ones that I put up. It's on one of them, but I think it's on the ones. And he said, "This is pathetic. We have nothing." So he's going to come back in force. And they came back. They didn't just come back in force. I mean, they spent millions on this thing. I mean, they had a drone show.
It was a lot.
It was a lot.
Even cynical Derik will admit it was a lot.
It was a lot.
It was a lot.
So, Stephen, what you're saying is that he wants it to reflect well on them in the kind of like conspicuous consumption, so that it doesn't look like what is the big dog of tabletop RPGs doing, being such a small presence there. So, like, reputational.
Well, no, I think it's like, it's like this. It's like a common theme of the West Wing TV show is like, America's role in a post-Soviet world where they are the only remaining superpower, right? And, you don't have to do anything because you're the only superpower left. But there's this idea of you have this onus on you, right? Coca-Cola is the world's leading beverage by far, but yet they spend more money on advertising than everyone else. So I think it's that same kind of idea of like, we're number one and we're going to be number one. We could just they literally took a gigantic dump all over everybody, and then they were like, I'm sorry, and they said it like 3 or 4 times, and it finally stuck, and everyone was like, okay, we'll keep buying. And so like, it doesn't matter what they do, they're going to be number one. If the OGL didn't turn people away from Wizards of the Coast, nothing will, or nothing won't. But they said, hey, you know what, we're number one, and we should look like it, and we should act like it. And I think Dan Ayub and some of these people, we all know this, they're coming from the video game world.
No, you stole my thunder. That's what I was going to tell. That's what I was going to say.
And in the video game world, it's all about flexing.
Oh,
it's all about.
Yeah.
I mean, I've seen booths in my life, but I didn't go to E3. I didn't go to that stuff. When I started going to when Steven started taking me to PAX, and I started seeing the video
PAX
game
West.
booth,
yeah.
When I started seeing the video game booth, when I saw Larian's booth for the first time, I was like, what is going on right now? It was like it was like a theatrical. Yeah, it was a theatrical presentation. It was a theatrical production. There was like, I'm like, the model of the Illithid spacecraft crashing through the ceiling was like bigger than the budget of like every booth at Gen Con.
Yeah.
Like combined. And so I had, and that's not to say anything about like the Nintendo booth where they're like, yeah, we have 300 Switches all set up for everybody to play all the latest games. And it was like, there's a 4-hour wait to get into this booth. So I just think the video game people that are now at Wizards of the Coast are just like, this is how we roll, son. Like when you've got
stole my thunder. That's exactly right. Is that they're all from video game, in the video game world. Like this is a Tuesday for them. Like this is very standard, and they are all about the flex, the power, and showing off and saying, yeah, we are the big dogs. We're in charge, and check out our grandeur. And you know what? It worked. I mean, they sold out of everything. The fair. The fair on the 6th floor. I mean, that was absolute insanity, that fair. And there was so many people at it. I mean, it was a lot. And they're just getting started. I mean, they that drone show was pretty amazing. I mean, I forgot to go see it live, but I saw all the videos afterwards. I mean, that stuff. I mean, they did as much as they could, and I think this was them being, and this is the scary part. This was them being rushed. Wait till next year. I think next year. No, seriously, like they rushed this one, and they still blew everyone else out of the water. And it's like next year they're gonna bring it. But here's the thing that was unbelievable: they weren't the only ones who brought it. It's like Dungeon Crawler Carl. They ramped up. I know Mistborn and the Brandon Sanderson stuff. I mean, I didn't pay attention to it directly when I was there, but I was indirectly. They stepped up. Obviously, Daggerheart, they stepped up big time. Like, everyone stepped up. This is what I said to Mark, and I think to Derik, is that it used to be that D&D was at the top, Paizo was next, and then it was everybody else. And then D&D left, and kind of Paizo was the defunct, being the big boy on campus.
Or default?
The default. Well, because D&D was gone, and they had the Sagamore. At this point, it was D&D was way at the top, and I hate to say it, but all those other companies I listed were at the same level, if not higher, than where Paizo is. Paizo
let
might
me
even
take-
be third tier at this point
You
because
mean
those
in
guys
terms
are
of how much money they were spending in the presentation at Gen Con?
and presence and just
And
presence at
presence.
Gen Con. Like they were,
Yeah.
it wasn't just like, it wasn't like, oh, there's the first two tiers than everyone else. It was like, dude, there's multiple
So,
tiers.
I promise you, for those of you who do not know, you're Gen Conese.
Yeah.
Okay. The Indianapolis Convention Center is shaped a bit like a big S. And there's sort of the bottom part of the S where there's just endless rows of tables, not for open gaming. No open gaming at Gen Con. Everything is bespoke. Everything's spoken for. But all those tables are used for gaming companies to run their miniature tournaments, their card game tournaments. That's halls A, B, and C. Halls D, E, F, G, maybe like H, I, J, basically occupy the top part of the S, and that's where all the booths are. Okay. Built around all of this are sizable rooms that companies can rent and make as like a secondary offshoot outside of the booth. On the second floor of Gen Con, there's a bunch of smaller rooms in the convention center, and then there's one gigantic, massive ballroom that can be segmented, but I've never seen it segmented. It's always big, open, big ceilings, not just like a little meeting room, but like an actual ballroom, presentation room. It's called the Sagamore Ballroom. Years ago, that was the place, that was the home of what is now called the D&D Adventure League, but back in the day, it used to be called the RPGA, the Role Playing Gamers Association. That is where D&D ran all their organized play. Well, when D&D stepped back, Paizo snatched that shit up. And now it is the home of Paizo organized play. So it's Pathfinder 2 and Starfighter 2 as far as the eye can see. I promise you that D&D hates that they don't have that space, because I'm sure they would. I mean, they probably did have more room at the repository theater or whatever, but I promise you, if they could, they would rather be at Gen Con just dominating that entire second floor and just having that massive Sagamore ballroom for big presentations and big, having big bespoke settings. And now it wasn't over at the repository theater, which was just a block and a half away. And don't get me wrong, it didn't keep the people away despite the rain and tornadoes. But the fact is like they kind of got, it was kind of like oh, you want to come back to Gen Con? Sorry, no room at the inn. And Wizards of the Coast is like, fine, fuck it, we'll rent an entire building theater. But I still feel like them not being in the convention center is a little telling.
Oh, not only that, Dan even said, I think he's like, we're not even in the convention center. And I mean,
Right.
even they were a little like saucy about that. They were not so thrilled. That
Yeah.
they
So
couldn't
to
get
say,
them there.
to say that they were the heart of Gen Con, it's like they weren't even in Gen Con.
Yeah.
But they did have gigantic amounts of presence in the other buildings.
They did a great, I hate to say it, you know me, I hate to give anybody praise. They did a great job. Okay. Look, I will say the three things of praise that I can do. One, Wizards of the Coast, D&D, did a great job at their booth. Two, they legitimately surprised me with the graphic nature of Dark Sun and the Star Wars collab. Three, Steven Glicker introduced me to Spot Hero, and he is a god in my eyes for that. So those are the three key takeaways from Derik from Gen Con.
Spot Hero has changed his life.
Well, whenever I park downtown or park anywhere, but yeah. But that being said, there was a lot of other news. It wasn't all,
so
believe it or
much.
not, it wasn't just Dark Sun and Star Wars and WoW, which everybody knew about WoW already. But Free League had big news. Darrington Press had big news.
Paizo had big news. We missed all that. There was so much going on. We missed the Paizo news. And by the way, they had They had 13 Omens out. You can buy these there at the booth. One is the rules.
It was kind of a ripoff.
Yeah. Well, we got it for free. Here's the preview, and then here's the adventure itself. And how much are they? It's $25.
It's like $25
for this.
For a short pamphlet of rules that's not even the final rules.
Well,
that being said,
but it's completely laid out. I mean, it looks gorgeous.
I mean, that being said, I think 13 Omens. I read it. Stephen brought it back
64
after.
pages.
How long is that?
64
pamphlet?
pages.
64 pages.
And it has a starter adventure in it. So the rules themselves are, I actually know how big the rules are.
But remember, Mark, it's not final either, so it's kind of
yeah. I get that it's not final, but like, how
It's
much were those
very-
64-page campaign setting books back in the day?
right. Like,
well,
I
you
mean-
can't. Oh, you know what? You know how much? It's the old 96
setting
page,
books.
the old 96 page Adventure Path books were like $15. But you know what? You can't compare that. That was 15 years ago. I mean,
yeah.
I mean that's and $10, and also a hamburger was $8 back then,
I have
and a
no idea
coffee
where any
was
of my stuff's.
$1.
Oh, here it is.
So
Right. I mean, what kind of asshole spends what kind of asshole spends $30 on a soft cover beta playtest version of a game?
they took a bath on those. If that makes you feel better.
Okay, no, but I bought it. So-
Yeah, well, the thing is, they didn't want to even make very many initially, and then I know they got. Look, I mean, I was there, so I guess we at the time got bad press for the playtest booklet, but it's because when the first Pathfinder playtest came out, they had almost none because they figured no one would want these. Who would want to pay for a
And then
free
they made
playtest book?
way too
And
many
they
of
got
the second-
reamed by people being like, "What are you doing? We wanted those softcover playtest books. This is so terrible." They're a memento for the people who got them, who signed, and then I missed out. And so everyone told them to make more. And so they did. And then everyone was like, "What are you doing? You're trying to sell this thing." So it's like, whatever you do, you never know if it's going to work out.
Jedi, it should be obvious, hopefully, that I keep everything.
Yeah, I also keep everything.
so
I don't think I've ever gotten rid of
Looking at
anything.
these old campaign setting Pathfinder 1 ebooks back in the day that were 64 pages, and this is before a lot of price increases, they were already about the same price.
All right, well, we're not talking about that. We're talking about GaryCon. We're not going to get into that. So
We're
let's.
talking about
I mean, Gen
we're talking about
Con,
Gary
Gen-
Con.
Gen-
All
we can talk
right.
about
GaryCon. I
GaryCon
thought
too.
this
Then we
was
go to
Gen
Gen
Con.
Con. But so I think there was a lot of people I was talking to who all said it felt, quote, different. And there was also some people like Ted from Nerd Immersions and others said it was their favorite Gen Con of all time. It's definitely not my favorite Gen Con of all time, but my favorite Gen Cons of all time mostly had to do with debauchery partying. So that's a whole other category.
I know this is going to sound shocking, but my favorite Gen Cons of all time are the ones where I actually got to play a lot of really great games.
That's my actually favorite one, I think, of all time was the first year that Pathfinder 2nd edition came out. I got to play it for the first time, and then we got invited to the Paizo party and went crazy. That was awesome.
Yep.
That was awesome.
I
That was
mean,
my favorite year.
I mean, yeah. I mean, don't get me wrong. I did attend Gen Con with all my friends when we were in our 20s. Sometimes we got up into some, shenanigans. And yes, there is a secret photo album that my friends share called that is a whatever, like a locked public or a locked private shared drive called "What Happens at Gen Con Stays at Gen Con" of potentially incriminating photos of people in very compromised situations that it's silly dumb things that happen at Gen Con. But that being said, it felt, I know this is going to sound crazy, especially for people who are watching. I got a memory on Facebook the other day because it was August, whatever. And it was like, 13 years ago at Gen Con. And it was a picture that I had posted on Facebook 13 years ago. And I shared it with my Discord because I was like, here's what Gen Con looked like in 2013. Which in my mind, I'm like, that's recent. But that was 13 years ago. And that was about 10 years after it went to Indianapolis. And it was a picture of the aisles. Number one, space for days between the booths. So you could have 5 people abreast in the aisles. But secondly, there was just like a third of the number of people. But despite the fact that there was a lot of people there, it was sold out all 4 days. Number one, it didn't feel as punishingly crowded as it somehow did the last prior years. I don't know if they were doing better. I don't know if they were doing better event routing or better organizational components. I'm not 100% sure how or why it was. But I didn't really feel like I had to wait that long for anything. It was pretty convenient in that respect. So I liked that. Number two, the attitude of people seemed to be very good. I mean, I don't understand why this is happening because theoretically, on paper, we're all fucked. Like, I mean, I'm unemployed, my friend's unemployed, my other friend's unemployed, my other friend's unemployed, my other friend's unemployed, my other friend is underemployed. And yet people seem to be spending money left and right. We went and talked to the Need Games folks. They're the people that produce Fabula Ultima. And while Stephen and I were talking to the publishers, literally their cashier just never stopped.
They couldn't
transact.
stop. It was unbelievable.
They never stopped transacting, like the whole time. I was like, God damn. You know, like, and they didn't have anything new. Right? The Bestiary finished, but it's not available in print yet. So everything that they had at the Need Games booth was old Fabula Ultima stuff. Yeah, so I don't know where people are getting their money from. I certainly didn't. The only reason I'm going to be having a Gen Con haul video is because Sugar Daddy Glicker, out of thank yous for the for providing the services that I did for him that weekend, was generous and kind enough that when he was buying a game, would oftentimes buy me the game too. In fact, a couple of times he even insisted. He's like, "I'm getting you
stuff
this
for you."
I know. I honestly think you were just happy to be able to be excited to buy things.
I was just happy to be a consumer.
Yeah.
Well.
Yeah. Look there.
There was things
Lord Oz says we had a record attendance at the Stink. So the Gen Con Stink is like a party on Wednesday night in the Union Station. About 540 people, previously topped in the low 400s.
That's crazy. So I wanted to talk about this. Is that I figured it out because I go to every convention. I mean, like GDC, Gen Con, Gary Con, big, small, every size of convention. And once again, I finally figured it out because I was trying to put my finger on it, but I did. I actually figured it out. I didn't even tell you this, Derik. We were talking about this, but I was like, okay, it felt like Gen Con was transforming, and it is. So here's the thing. It sold out 3 days in a row, and it's 72,000 people that can fit in Gen Con, and it's already sold out. Next year, from what I heard from everyone, they're adding about 100 more booths, thank God, so we can get one. FYI, I spoke to Larian, and they couldn't get a booth. And actually, that's not true. Larian, I don't know.
I thought you said they might have been allowed to get one, but it wouldn't have been...
off the record. I'm thinking whether this is on the record or not. They were allowed to get like a 10 by 10 or something.
Yeah, that's what you said.
And they're like, no. Like, someone of their size and caliber, no. Like they refuse to have a booth that small. Like they need to have
it's like we said earlier in the episode, it's flex for video game companies, right?
Oh yeah, they're exactly.
Having a 10 by 10 is kind of worse than having nothing if you're supposed to be flexing.
That's worse than nothing. So they won't go. And at PAX East, their booth was like 40 by 40, 60 by 60. I mean, it was enormous. It's a gigantic booth. And they're like, nope. We need a massive booth and a massive presence. And so they're going to go up to, they're adding, so more hotels are opening. They're adding another 50 to 100,000 square feet. They're rejiggering everything. And from what I heard, they're going to go up to 77,000 people from 72,000 per day. So they're adding another 20,000 people to the convention, which is actually quite a bit. And they're having more booths. And I was trying to think of analogies, and I finally, of course, came to one. And what a surprise! It's video games. And it's San Diego Comic-Con. So I was in San Diego Comic-Con when they were transformed. And just like you, Derik, we would go to these comic conventions. And you know what was at comic conventions? Comic books. Just comic books. And these were like those booths where it's nothing but, pictures of those super rare, expensive comic books that no one will buy on the wall, and then rows and rows of the long boxes where you go through and buy. And that's pretty much what Comic-Con was. But then something happened, and Hollywood discovered Comic-Con, and so I said two things. One, several things. A, it was nearby LA, so they can bring everyone there, simple enough. B, it was cheap as hell. And they're like, hey, got to put our stamp on it. And then I was also there when they took over, and now people talk about it like Comic-Con is basically just Hollywood Con. Like that's where all the big movies are announced. That's where everything's, like comics have nothing to do with Comic-Con. Comics are maybe 5-10% of Comic-Con, if that. And I hate to say it, but this year, seeing how much everyone was stepping up and the combination that the people who got the most press that I was looking at and the most likes and the most information, they were 3 people. Joe Manganiello got a ton of press, even though he was only one of many. Felicia Day, from Day from the Guild, got a ton of press because she was there promoting her stuff, and Dungeon Crawler Carl, which had an insane presence at Gen Con, and they didn't even have a product, and it was insane how many people were dressed up, and you see the pictures. There's like endless pictures of people, and that is the sign that I was like, yep, I think next year Hollywood's going to notice this, and they're always looking for the next new thing. And that's what happens. The next phase is always Hollywood. The next phase is always Hollywood. Hollywood steps in and they start taking over, or they start putting their foot in.
It should not surprise anyone that the enshittification of everything good continues.
Yes.
And the reason I know this is because is when E3 was sort of glowing up. Buster, just aside, sorry, tangenting. I was sad to see the Mirage go away as well. Tom Cochleo's Heritage Steakhouse was one of my favorite restaurants in Vegas. Plus, it had this unbelievably gorgeous waitress that was always there.
What the hell are you talking about?
He said, I was sad to see the Mirage go away. And the Mirage, they're rebuilding it to Hard Rock. Anyways, in Vegas. But I was there when E3 was really scaling up, and Gen Con was like, we want to get a piece of that action, and Gen Con started courting all the video game people. I remember that
when they had the video game people.
When they temporarily had the video game.
Yeah. So I remember there's pictures of me at Gen Con going to the Sony booth to the EverQuest, to EverQuest 2 and Age of Conan Online.
I played
StarCraft 2 and
City of Villains, City of Heroes was there.
Yeah, they were there. There was a Super Smash Brothers tournament somewhere.
Yeah.
And it fucking sucked. And the people spoke and they said, get the fuck out of here because it's killing the vibe of Gen Con. And what I'm worried about is we talked about this. They're kicking out the gamers so they can put more booths. They don't want to play games, they just want to sell games. They're getting rid of seminars and replacing them with keynotes. They're kicking out people playing games so that people can go watch other people play games, and I hate it.
You're not wrong, but it also is very big, and they do have enough room for everything. There is enough room for everything. You hear, but here's why it's working.
They're gonna banish you to fucking Lucas Oil.
Yeah, you're 100% right. But here's the thing: what you just described doesn't get press. It doesn't get views. It doesn't get clicks. And
Who
it doesn't.
The fuck it's Gen Con.
Gen Con cares because Gen Con wants it to become bigger than it is, and I feel like it's right on the cusp of leveling up to that. Look, you can't fight it. Okay, we're not in charge. It's not our call.
I will fight it. I have a platform. I will fight it. I will fight Demiplane. I will fight Gen Con.
Yeah, good luck. Good luck with that.
Well, one of my most downvoted videos of all time, aside from when Paizo people decided to brigade me, which happens from time to time, is the one where I shot out. I took aim at Gen Con, and I talked about how I thought it had really fallen off.
Well, but I have a feeling because next year Dungeon Crawler Carl has a TV show coming out, and it is all Seth MacFarlane and all of his people. So they're gonna bring their people, and they're gonna have them playing through the game. They're gonna have the Hollywood people playing through the game. We're gonna have more Hollywood people there playing through games, and in Hollywood they're gonna come around. Now, people are saying the D&D movie. No, D&D movie does not count, and I'll tell you why. First of all, the D&D movie actually did very well. People don't recall that. The problem with the D&D...
They just had huge expectations and budgets. But
they wanted it to make $1 billion. It only made like a few $100 million. That wasn't enough. That's the problem. But Hollywood just went through, and they're actually getting a big wake-up call. If you're following Hollywood, the combination of Obsession and the Backrooms and others is that it used to be, okay, we have to make, instead of doing 10 small movies a year, we're going to do 5 huge movies that each make $1 billion. Except when that doesn't work, and then you lose billions of dollars. And then they see Obsession, which cost $1 million to make and made $500 million. And they went, shit. And then they see Backrooms, which cost like $5 million to make and made $400 million. And then they realized, yeah, time to make those small mid-budget movies again. Because those small and mid-budget movies do not exist. They only make top movies. But I don't know if you've been following the Guild. The Guild is making their movie, and they raised $4 million, and they'll probably raise $6 million when it's all said and done. I will bet you dollars to donuts that movie makes back all of its money and then some. It'll be like a $5 million movie, and it'll make back all of its money. And Hollywood will start noticing that. And then the thing that Hollywood is always looking for is the next IP to license. And yes, D&D is taken, but you know what's not taken? Daggerheart's not taken. Paizo stuff isn't taken. There's a lot of games out there, and they'll just buy those licenses up and do something or nothing with them, but just having it. I mean, this is how it works. I mean, right now, it took a long time for video games to finally make the $1 billion leap. But now you're going to see endless video game movies coming out in the next couple of years. Endless. Because of Super Mario Brothers and how well that did. And Sonic. The Sonic is making mint, and Super Mario, they're all making billions of dollars. And they're like, okay, time for us. So, wait, curious about the D&D Universes Beyond announcements.
I was going to say, do you want to pivot to that?
Yes, will it be a boon for the community to cause buyer fatigue, as we say, Magic? Yeah. What was the buyer fatigue with Magic the Gathering, Derik? What was the quote buyer fatigue that everyone talks about?
Yeah, the buyer fatigue was Wizards of the Coast announced that they made $500 million from just Magic last quarter.
Right.
So I am going to.
That's not buyer
I'm
fatigue.
going to beat this. I'm going to do this. This is tough. I hate Universes Beyond. I didn't even like it when it was just like Commander only products, one and done, because I didn't want Doctor Who and I didn't want Warhammer 40K in my Magic the Gathering. And I'm one of those people that, not anymore so much, but I liked the lore of Magic the Gathering, their internal lore, the sort of the multiverse and Dominaria and all that other stuff. But Lord of the Rings was a fucking banger. Final Fantasy was a fucking banger. Avatar was a fucking banger. And so it turns out that I am a hypocrite and I'm full of shit. Now, luckily, my ass got 86th on the whole job situation, and I'm not really playing that much Magic the Gathering anymore. So I didn't buy any of this stuff. And I was never really a collector anyways. When I played Magic, I either drafted or I was an aggressive tournament player. I was never a casual player. That being said, I played some Final Fantasy and I played Lord of the Rings, and I'm probably going to play some Hobbit. And you know what they were? They were awesome. They weren't spineless, careless, horrible money grabs. They were thoughtfully made with clever mechanics. Spider-Man was a big flop because of the whole they had to make the different card art for the online because of a licensing issue. And it was a bad set also. It was designed badly. But most of them have been absolute slam dunk successes. And the fact of the matter is, it felt like a wonderful homage to some of my favorite IPs and nerd things. And rather than feel exploitative, and it was exploitative, the premium price per pack was ridiculous. I would say that the Marvel products, Jedi, have been the worst so far. Marvel superheroes and Spider-Man, both to me, seemed like the weakest offering so far. Even Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, which again, I think is terrible for the meta concept of the game, was by all accounts a reasonably fun set to draft and play. So I sit here and say this, and yet I also acknowledge the fact that like those were great sets. And my buddy won like 6 collector's boxes of Final Fantasy during the Win-A-Box event, the collector's Win-A-Box event, and he sold them for like, I don't know. I mean, he paid for his whole Vegas trip off of selling 6 boxes of Magic the Gathering cards because they were so much of a premium and so much of a thing. He sold them on eBay, and like people are going nuts for this. So the 5, angry neckbeard people who are yelling about it on Reddit or Blue Sky or wherever the fuck can do that. But when people talk about wallet fatigue, the fatigue, no, it's the wallet marathon, because they are just like, oh. And the beautiful thing about the IP is, yeah, okay, we didn't get your money for Final Fantasy because you're not a Final Fantasy person. You're not a big JRPG person. But maybe you're a big Star Trek person. Maybe you're a big Tolkien person, and we'll get you next time.
And that means that the fatigue would be if someone who's like, I want to buy all of them. But because they're targeted, you don't have to buy all of them. You buy the one that you love. Yep. That's a love letter to to your favorite thing. And so it actually, like, if it's like kind of a mainline set and you're a Magic person, and let's say they made so many mainline sets each year that it was equal to the current number of Universes Beyond plus mainline, then people who feel that their identity was Magic people would feel like, well, I should probably be buying all of these, I guess. That's so many. But by separating it out, it also separates which people are buying it in some ways. Obviously, if your identity is, I also buy all the Universes Beyond, then it's a ton of cards to buy. But it actually somewhat makes it easier, because you might be like, well, I don't like you said, I don't like Final Fantasy as much, so I just won't buy this one.
So I think we're posting 7 interviews with WotC that I did while I was there. And it's either 6 or 7. So I spoke
3
to
with Dan, 1 with Amanda, 1 with James, 1 with Greg, and then 1 with Justice.
So 7.
So
okay, 7.
7 videos. And one thing that came up throughout them is that, I think it was with Amanda, is that this book is very intimidating. So if I say to someone, hey, let's play D&D, and they're like, ugh, I got to read this book and learn the system and learn this world and learn it. There's a lot, and it's a lot for someone to start and play that. But if I say to you, hey, we're going to play Dungeons and Dragons tonight in the world of Azeroth, and you're like, oh shit, yeah, I know everything about World of Warcraft. I love World of Warcraft. It's like, yeah, you don't need to know anything. What's your favorite class? It's like, oh, Hunter. I'm like, oh, guess what? You're going to play Hunter tonight. And what's your favorite race? It's like, oh, Torrent. I'm like, Torrent Hunter. Roll it up. We're going to play tonight. It's like, awesome. You just won. Like D&D just won, because that is what's key, is onboarding. And to onboard someone that easily to Dungeons and Dragons and TTRPGs is what they're looking for. So you can say, oh, I don't like this. You are not the audience. Okay, everyone who's complaining, you are not the audience. They don't care about you anymore. They do, but they don't care about you for Universes Beyond. They care about you for, that's why they're doing Ravenloft and Icons and all the other worlds, because that's
Steven,
what you're for.
I called it. Remember in the World of Warcraft episode where we were talking about the leak before Gen Con, and I said, I think this is something to smooth the transition in for new people who are doing the World of Warcraft and are not currently playing D&D, and get those people in it. And so that's what I thought it was aimed at.
Yeah, and you're right. And they said that in the interviews. It's like, that is why they do it, is because instead of you having to learn about the world of D&D, you already know a world, and it's now playing D&D in that world. And then if they get you, quote, to play D&D, they got you. And Star Wars. Okay, everyone freaking knows Star Wars, like again, like, oh, I don't like Star Wars, I'm not going to play the Star Wars D&D. Yeah, but a lot of people are. I hate to break it to you. You might not, and that's fine, but you are not the audience. The whole world is their audience.
And I think this could help tabletop RPGs overall by bringing in gamers who don't play
that's
TTRPGs.
The thing, right? It's not a bad thing. We got more people. The hobby grows.
I don't want to sound like that guy, but I am that guy. People, your inexperience, your naivete, and quite frankly, your youth is showing. I know you think you're some sort of old school OG person because you're like, I've been playing D&D 5e since before Stranger Things. Well, guess what? Some of us have been playing a lot longer than that. Star Wars and D&D is nothing new.
That's right. That's right.
It says Wizards of the Coast. This is D&D 3rd edition, Star Wars edition. They have literally done this before. Twice. They did this, and then they did the Saga edition.
Yep.
Okay? This is not new. None of this is new. And everyone's like, I can't believe it. Why can't you believe it?
Well,
It's right
Yeah,
here.
Star Wars is like the most believable of all of them for D&D.
Yeah. They literally have done it before.
yeah. I know
And
people
Star
still
Wars
play
Saga
that
edition
to this
was
day.
a good system.
That
Yeah,
Star Wars
I
Saga
know.
edition was a banger. In fact,
I
when
know
we got
people still
when we
play
got
it.
one of our few sponsored videos, we got this one, and I was like, yeah, I'll take a look at it. And again, it's a big confidence of faith from those people because it's a first look. It's not like, oh, I'm going to do the video and tell you how to. No, I'm looking at it for the first time, and we thought it was a 3rd edition retro clone. No, it was actually an homage. Last Arcs was the name of the game. Was actually an homage to Saga edition, which was a great system, fantastic system. So, anyways, people say, Osily, World of Warcraft. Gee, was there a World of Warcraft D20 game? Oh, wait, there was. Everything that you guys are experiencing with 5e literally happened before with 3rd edition. And then for you people going like, Dark Sun is from the 90s. Dark Sun is from the 90s. Dark Sun is the 90s. The fuck it is. Dark Sun. Creature catalog. 4th edition D&D. They've already brought Dark Sun back before. They just didn't do it for what you think D&D and you think the last 10 years because you're a closed-minded, simple person. What I'm suggesting is that the hobby is bigger and longer than you have. Nothing like you guys, the D&D didn't fall apart then. The fact that they're doing these IP tie-ins and the fact that they're bringing in Dark Sun, they've done it before. This is all, if anything, it's actually a little boring because they've done it before.
Well,
we had a super
they will
chat.
have new ones. They will
We
have
had a
new
super
ones.
chat from
had a lot of
Jaden G
super chats.
something that said, "Do you think Dark Sun fits with the D&D classic idea?" I think that death saves thing that was at Gen Con fits with the D&D classic idea. Steven has said before Gen Con, when he first heard about that being in Gen Con, he said this could be the D&D classic idea we were talking about, and I still think he's right. We had another super chat that asked for favorite announcements out of Gen Con, so if you guys can combine answering the two of those.
Favorite announcement.
Mr. Rosicki says, I'm shaved enough, Derek. Stop. Yeah, I mean, I look, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to be so hyped up about it, but I just think that people get, okay, number one, I respect the fact that there are people who are new to the hobby, and this is a very scary time for you. But the hobby is longer and older than D&D 5e. So that's number one. Number two, I respect all of these talking head YouTube videos who are making a big deal about this. One, because they're feeding on your fear and paranoia. And two, because they, like many people, started playing the game in the last 5 to 10 years. And quite frankly, they don't know any better either. But those of us who have been around, who have had the experience, know that this has happened before and it will happen again. Right. Lord says all of this has happened before. All of this will happen again. And you know, and I'm going to take a step back real quick. I'll give you another example. Dark Sun. People, I'm not going to name names. People make a big deal about this, and they're like, Dark Sun is a gritty survivalist game. It's not appropriate for 5th edition D&D with its superheroics. Dark Sun characters in 2nd edition AD&D, you know, one of the old ones, used a different ability score generation method than any other campaign setting and normal gaming. You know what it gave you? Higher stats. They got bonus hit points at first level. They got wild talents, which were randomly generated psionic abilities. Dark Sun characters, even back in the gritty glory days of the 90s, the early 90s, were superheroes. They did Dark Sun again. They did Dark Sun again for a game called, you guessed it, 4th edition D&D. And guess what? I don't know if you've heard this or not, but 4th edition D&D characters, yeah, they were pretty powerful. They had cool powers and fun exploits and really powerful abilities. Null Zero, great point. You also started at 3rd level in AD&D 2nd edition Dark Sun. So more hit points, 3rd level, better ability scores. Dark Sun was also in 4th edition, arguably one of the most super heroic, over the top. People say it's like a video game. It's like an MMO. you're like a super character. So again, I respectfully say you don't know what the fuck you're talking about. So just quiet down, listen, learn, accept your education, your wisdom from those who know better, and we'll get through this together.
Well, Derek's in rare form today.
Yeah, I apologize for interrupting your 2-part rant there with the super chats. You've finished it, but I do want to circle back because I kind of answered one of them, but we got another one after that. But no one answered Waters Leap with the favorite announcements.
Well,
out
first,
of Gen
someone
Con.
asked me, just back up. Someone asked me if high elves are going to be in the World of Warcraft. Yeah, actually, they said all races, all playable races will be in the D&D.
Okay.
So I think that's high. It's like all is all. So, and from what I understand, yes, everything that's playable is in there. So my favorite thing.
Yeah.
Well, I know it's a cop-out because we already knew about it, but I'm very excited about World of Warcraft. I mean,
it's fair to be excited. I saw the video with John where he came on and was so excited that his dungeons were going to be in there.
Very excited.
One of your best friends designed the WoW dungeon,
and I have 10,000 hours played on WoW. I like it. I'm actually excited to play D&D and WoW together. Like, I'm genuinely excited. So
yeah, I don't think there's anything wrong about that. With being excited. Like, don't shame people because they like something.
Oh no, it's just that it was like it was actually it wasn't even the announcement at Gen Con. We knew about it ahead of time, but I was still excited about it, of everything.
Derik, I guess you were shaming people for disliking and being afraid just before, because I was like, weren't you just shaming people? But I guess it wasn't for liking things.
I'm shaming them for being critical of the direction of the game. In fact, they're just
so what was your favorite announcement, Derik? I'm expecting a small niche company's announcement so that I can check it out.
For starters, high elves became the blood elves, right? Because they became addicted to magic through the sun.
Blood elves, right. Well, blood elves will be playable.
Right.
So
but
I don't
technically.
Okay, so high elves probably are not playable.
Technically, blood elves are high elves. That's just the name.
Exactly.
Given to them.
Yeah. Actually, technically, blood elves were added to rebalance the races because way too many people were alliance and they needed to get people on the horde.
They were already existed in Warcraft 3.
Oh, I know. They were there, but then they made them. They literally. I'm gonna get in trouble. Like, if you notice, they literally used Playboy centerfolds when they designed, and actually porn actresses when they designed what the blood elves look like, and that was not an accident. So anyhow. Yes.
Yeah. Listen, I'm not into anime, so I don't understand that. But
they did it to redistribute, especially overseas in Asia, because Asia was really bad. It was 4-1 in Asia, alliance to horde, and they needed to balance it out because the servers were getting toasted. Anyhow,
right. And if you can't masturbate to your tune, what are we even doing here?
So, what was your favorite announcement, Derik?
That's a great question. So, I mean, it's going to sound strangely, it's going to sound weird because, again, there were some really great announcements.
There was a lot.
It wasn't my favorite announcement. It was just, for me, the most unbelievable announcement.
Oh, I know what it is.
I'm waiting.
It's the Final Clan.
Yes, that's correct. So above me here is the Legend of the Five Rings 5th edition. Has nothing to do with D&D. The Legend of the Five Rings 5th edition game, which was originally produced by Fantasy Flight Games. Then their RPG division got shunted over to Edge when the whole restructuring happened. And I said, they are never going to finish this game. And then they released the Dragon book, which was pretty bad. And then they released the Unicorn book. And I said, all right, they're never, ever, ever going to finish it. There will never be a Scorpion book. Well, they had a pre-production model of the Scorpion book at Gen Con. So, that's me eating crow, right? We
were eating a lot of crow this Gen Con. That's why I was so surprised. We were like, just too many. There was a lot of actual surprises, which never happened.
So that was actually surprising to me.
Right. It was a lot.
You know what? I didn't know that they had that at Gen Con because I wasn't there. But now that you've told me they had it, I'm not surprised that was one of your biggest announcements. I know how much of an L5R fan you are.
To be clear, that's why I say it's not one of my biggest announcements, because I think the quality of the books has been really shitty. And I think not only mechanically, but structurally and what they cover, they've been pretty bad. I think the books from Edge have been more or less terrible. Sorry, Edge. But
well, maybe the scorpion won't sting you, the frog, if you carry it on your back one more time.
Right, exactly. Well, the lesson of Bayushi says, they tell the parable of the frog, and then this frog goes, but in the Legend of the Five Rings verse, the frog goes, "Why did you sting me? Now we'll both drown." And then the scorpion says, "But I can swim too." And
that's great.
That's actually, so they actually take that parable and they change it in Legend of the Five Rings, and the scorpion goes, "I can swim too." Anyways, he's like, "I was just fucking you up, just to get you in a position where I could sting you by lying to you and telling you I can't swim. And then while you're weak and vulnerable, I exploited you." Anyways, no, so I'm going to actually say that the biggest announcement for me was Dark Sun. Now, we I don't know, we had some pre-production information about Dark Sun. And we were able to do that for the interviews and stuff before the announcement, so we knew about that. I did not know that it was going to be rated R 18+. Now, I'm saying this with
by the way, wait.
I'm saying this with a big asterisk.
Wait, there's confirmation slaves are in the game.
Okay. I'm saying this with a big asterisk because even despite that, there is one of my biggest problems with modern RPGs and Wizards of the Coast, right, is it's all style, no substance, right? It's cozy vibes, but not cozy mechanics. It's D&D 5e, and they, put a rainbow flag on it and cute eyeballs and say this is for trans rights, but like they didn't actually change anything.
It's all
right?
sizzle, no steak.
All sizzle, no.
You're
steak.
saying as opposed to like in Paizo where they put their money where their mouth is with a lot of representation.
Oh yeah. No, not representation. We're talking gameplay.
Well, no, but you just specifically talked about them just kind of painting around that they have representation, but not really doing it.
I'll give you a great example of this. Paizo created not just like, we put a person in a wheelchair in our art. No, they were like, here are a lot of mechanics for prostheses and wheelchairs. And
I remember I worked on that section in Guns and Gears. So and you got battle wheelchairs. You can actually do it in the game. It's not just a picture of it.
Right. It's not just a picture of it. Right. So it's it's mechanical representation, not just visual or aesthetic.
And the characters are steeped in the setting. There's explanations for cultural groups and things like that.
Right. So it's easy to do a Dark Sun trailer and show people's heads getting ripped off. But I don't know how to tell people this. Dark Sun was always kind of brutal and edgy, but it was never rated R. It was PG-13. I mean, there was no 18+ rip wrapper sticker for this game or for the second edition game.
Right.
So there is a concern of mine that it's just going to be like, somebody said this in chat, and I think it was is it just 5e D&D, they add a Scion class, and then they make it like really brutal art, and people go, "Oh my God, this game is so hardcore," but it's just 5e. The fact is, there's a lot to Dark Sun that goes beyond just being brutal. In fact, I would argue that it's not just about being brutal. It's about the threat of power, the nature of exploitation of people, of the world, of its resources, about the misuse of magic and the parable of magic as a sort of a stand-in for natural resources. It's about the problems of demagoguery and of fascism and tyranny and the rule of the mighty. It's about the problems of bioessentialism, and there's a lot of stuff that is going on in that setting that is very easy to sort of whitewash over and go, well, if we show somebody getting skull fucked, it'll make people go, oh, this is mature and this is hardcore. It's mature and hardcore to a 16-year-old Dark Souls player, but to
But you're saying you're not sure if it's going to actually address the weighty and deeper issues. The sort of societal issues that make you think, that make you pause and make you wonder, what are we doing and why when you're playing in Dark Sun?
What are we even doing here?
Right. So I want there to be a mechanical representation, and I want there to be a moment where a character who is struggling to fight to save their world and the people they care about it, is forced to make a terrible decision of, do I defile to cast this spell to beat my enemies, even though doing so is committing the same cardinal sins that they committed that led us to this pace in the example. Am I staring into the abyss too long? So yes, freelancer, we're discussing mature versus edgelording.
So it's more like Andor than some of the other Star Wars, where the rebellion is shown also having to make gray or even morally evil decisions in order to oppose the tyranny of the Empire.
By the way, I'm rewatching Andor for the third time, and it gets better every time. It's
that classic. It's the classic Clerks conversation about the destruction of the second Death Star, and were there a lot of independent contractors on that when they blew that up? And how much did the politics of a union tradesperson be taken into effect when they take that job, knowing the responsibility?
So we had one more super chat from Asuali that says, "What IP should they do after Star Wars?" So they've done World of Warcraft, they've done Star Wars. They want something probably as big, or maybe they can't be quite as big as those, but something big like those. What do you think Final Fantasy did well for Magic the Gathering?
They'll.
It's not what one do you think they will do. It's what one do you think they should do.
Well, those are two different questions.
Oh, those are two different questions.
Yeah, but they asked what should they do in the super chat.
But wait, should they do from what perspective? To make Derik happy?
Asuali did not explain what they meant when they said what they should do.
Pokemon.
Pokemon. There you go. Or maybe Eldamon. Eldamon is what they should IP they should do next.
I know who they can hire for that.
That's what Steven thinks.
Let's see. They'll probably do well. They're definitely. You see, they already have all these relationships, so it's very easy for them to go back. So, keep in mind that's a big part of it. It's like, okay, they already did Final Fantasy. It was a massive, massive hit, so they could do that.
Right.
I mean, believe it or not, I know it sounds counter. Well, I don't think they can do Lord of the Rings. I won't get into the I won't get into the legality of licensing. I don't know if they can.
No, they will not.
They won't. It's a little too complex.
Okay, we live in a different world now.
Yeah,
because Middle Earth Enterprises
is now owned by
Embracer, and those people will whore a license out for anything.
Yeah, they'll do it to anyone. So it could.
That's why by the way, that's why you're seeing all these Lord of the Rings games coming out.
God, there were so many, and we played one. And I said to Derik as we sat down, it's like, how many ways can they make Lord of the Rings into a game? And it's like it was just endless. It was endless. Although that one we played was sort of fun. Yeah, it was sort of fun. I played a lot of roll and write, so it was an okay roll and write. There was issues with it because you could cheat and no one would know. But anyhow,
yeah, I brought that up. Remember,
I said we actually said that. I'm like, it's actually very easy to cheat in that game because everything's private.
So I think the answer to how many ways they can make the same game,
accidental cheating.
I think it's 20. They can make it 20 times. 3 for elves, 7 for dwarves, 9 for humans, and 1 to rule them all.
You're so funny. I think they will probably do Final Fantasy just because that thing made so much money for them. And maybe Star Wars helps them figure out how to do the sci-fi fan. It scratches an itch they won't have because, all right, they have fantasy already, and then they World of Warcraft. They have science fiction fantasy, which is Star Wars, and then they want to get the manga / anime / that crowd, which is gargantuan. So I'm going to say Final Fantasy, and I'm doing a wild card here, and this is actually the one I'd rather them do, is One Piece. I will. God, if they did a One Piece, if they would do a One Piece, we're done. Like seriously, One Piece makes so that. God, if they did One Piece, we literally are done.
Why are we done?
They'll make $1 billion. They will make $1 billion, not $1 million, not 500 million. They will make $1 billion on that. One Piece is so massive, and I don't think it's a question that they don't want to do it. It's a question if One Piece wants to do it.
And you could tell One Piece is very popular because I don't know it and I hate it. So if I don't know something and or I hate it, it is undoubtedly extremely popular, beloved by the masses.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that won't be the next one because they're doing 2 or so a year. So obviously,
well, they showed us that. Well, they showed us that roadmap. You know,
yeah.
we've got
And Dan said
Season of
that
Survival, Season of
every
Rebellion.
year they're going to go to Gen Con and do this. Like this is going to be their standard. Well, they will come and show the roadmap for the whole year, and this is going to be when they do it. So they will probably announce 2 for next year. So I would think now these already have to be heavily in production already, especially for next year. So
yeah, there would be ones that they already got to agree to it before they saw the sales from even the first one.
Yeah, these had to been because they started because I asked them point blank, when did you start on WoW? And it was 2 years ago, which of course makes sense. So that's when they started working on that one. I didn't, and guess what? Our good friend Jess Redikoff, she did the maps on Dark Sun. How about that?
She did,
and she didn't tell us. She was like, haha. And then she showed us her.
She kept her NDA under tight wraps.
I know.
She did not.
So how about that? It was like, wow, how dare you?
Yes.
No, she's so when you see those awesome maps, that's a good old Jess right there. So I would probably say Final Fantasy because they already have it, and that's scratching a section and an itch that no one has. But then they're going to do another one, and then the next one after that, I don't know what it would be. What worked well for
somebody said Diablo.
No, it's not Diablo.
No, I was gonna say. So there is a company called Glass Cannon Unplugged. They've been trying to launch. Like I think they have the license right now. I think they've been trying to develop a Diablo role playing game that isn't 5e. So I don't know if that license with them is exclusive or who has it right now.
No, the way it works is you can do another Diablo one, but it has to be a different system and methodology. So that's how that works.
But currently, the Diablo role-playing game has sort of been in development hell for the last 18 months, 24 months. So I don't know quite the state of that is, but I doubt that it's going to do anything. But at the same time, they've done a thing with Blizzard, and so now we've got that. So
yeah, I mean they could.
I mean, happen.
Diablo is one of those that it never really worked. It never made the jump. It just didn't. Like people love it as a video game, but they don't like it as any other. Like the books don't do well. Like it just doesn't do well as something else. It just doesn't. Something else I wanted to mention. Fourth Wing. Actually, Fourth Wing wouldn't be a bad idea. So one thing they've been mentioning on the streams and other things, more than half of the people who play Dungeons and Dragons now and in all time started with 5th edition.
Wow.
Which is right. Now that's all time. All time.
One of my favorite LeBron quotes is he was
Starcraft.
saying like,
yeah, they could do Starcraft.
He was like, LeBron was getting interviewed and he was like, they were like, somebody, he's like, as if I don't feel old enough. Somebody, a reporter told me the other day that I have played with or against like 61% of every person who's ever been in the NBA.
Wow, that's insane.
Because he's been in the league so long, and like the turnover's much higher than it used to be. But
that's nuts.
So
well, anyhow, my point is that
that's like
when
you're
showing things like World of Warcraft for 3.5 and Star Wars, the hobby was this big. Like the hobby was very small. Like we think it was big. It's like no, it was small, and then this was this size of the hobby. Well, and sorry, let me rephrase that. Dungeons and Dragons and the hobby was this big. D&D is now this big. So the amount of people that they will probably get to buy Star Wars and World of Warcraft for 5.5 is going to be larger than all the people who played 3.5 combined, like the whole audience, because it's just so much bigger now.
Well, we saw the covers for the WoW book.
Yeah,
there's one cover.
All three.
There's 3. I don't count collector's editions.
Okay. I don't know, that Murloc one looks awesome.
But there's one.
You can play a Murloc, by the way. And I was upset. I told them I want to play a Murloc. Anyhow,
the one looks like your D&D. I don't know where they are.
Who's your
here,
standard?
But they look like a D&D 5e book.
Right?
Yeah,
standard.
And it looks like it'll right.
That's retail.
And then there's another one that looks like some sort of like WoW art book. It's the same
Special
book,
edition.
but it's not special. You know, like there's the collector's edition,
Oh, collectors.
and then there's the one that's clearly targeted at the WoW audience who is
Right.
buying a D&D book because it's WoW.
Right.
And then there's another one which is targeted at the D&D audience who is buying a D&D book. It just
Correct.
happens to be. And so it's like
Correct.
they're very clearly understanding that there are going to be people who buy this game who don't play D&D,
Oh yeah.
who will never play D&D,
Correct.
who maybe just tangentially kind of know a little bit about D&D. They know about D&D because of Baldur's Gate 3,
Right.
and they're going to buy this book because they love World of Warcraft. I've been playing since vanilla, and they're going to buy it because they're like, oh, I can't wait to see what they did, and oh my god, can you imagine somebody modding this for BG3? That'd be sick, right? Like that's their connection to the hobby. But you know who doesn't care about that? Wizards of the Coast, because you know how much money Wizards of the Coast makes off of a WoW player who just buys that book to put it on their shelf and never play it. The same amount of money as they make from the person who buys it and plays it every day for 10 years straight.
Well, you make me feel like you've grown up, Derik, because that's what I say that all the time. That's my number. That's in the top 5 sayings. I'm like, you know how much money they make for someone who plays D&D every single week, and the person who buys it and puts it on the shelf the exact same money. They don't care. They really don't.
They would slightly rather have the person who's out there evangelizing
Correct.
the game for the network effect.
You're
though.
100% right. But this is
You
what
are
they
correct.
did, is that the collector's edition, it comes in a slipcase, and there's a big circle, and one side is Horde, and one side is Alliance. And so what you can do is you can put in the slipcase and show which side you are, and then you could reverse the book to show the side that you like. So, and they did that again on purpose because they know.
So that way, if I buy the book and I
Right.
put it on my shelf, I don't have to show that dirty, filthy Horde logo
Right,
sticking
and I don't
out
have to show the
from-
goody goody
from
2-2
these
Alliance.
from these alliance
Oh, by the
shelves
way, if
behind
you
us.
watch the YouTube, the WoW interview that went up today, we have official confirmation that Horde is better, and we actually it's over. It's actually over, and we explain why Horde won officially in the video. So you got to watch that video if you want to hear why.
Now, Mr. Rogzinski, you are exactly right. See, I played. Well, I mean, I guess all WoW servers were PvP, right? Originally, they were all PvP, which is when I played, and I played mostly Battlegrounds, and I definitely remember, contested areas, right, like the wetlands and all those other places where you would just get open world PvP in addition to Battlegrounds. That's how I played. I hated the Horde. It was about fighting. It was what was it? It was a world of Warcraft. Right. And now it's nothing like that at all.
Now it's
and
World
I have
of
no
Peacecraft. As
right
I
now
call
it's
it.
world of let's fight whatever existential threat is
It's called
coming from
Peacecraft.
beyond the world or in the world or on the
That's
other
the demons.
mirror
It's always
universe
the demons.
world. Well, it's the demons, or it's the other plane, or it's things in the center of the
Oh, wait,
earth.
I actually have a very interesting question, Mark. I'm going to ask you. So Derik and I were watching a lot of people doing interviews.
Mhm.
Now, if you watch my interviews are we jump into the deep end and then go diving down. Like we're going way into the deep. Like we're assuming you know everything about these products. We're assuming you know everything. And we're just
So from a certain standpoint, Steven's interview is terrible because he's like, so okay, so let's start with Ubers. Okay, so you're going through Ubers, and I guess got to know what parts of Ubers did you put in? What parts of Ubers did you not put in? Well, he's like, well, I was always a BFD fan myself. Oh my god, BFD was so great. It's like a person who doesn't know World of Warcraft is like, what the fuck are you guys talking about?
That was all my interviews. Of course, I did my interview with Amanda, and of course, we jumped right into mechanics. And Amanda was like, "Oh my god, that was such a great interview!" Because I finally got to talk about stuff like that.
Whereas the
other interviews we're hearing, and there's no shade on them.
No, but they were like, "Hi, we're really excited now. What is World of Warcraft? Am I saying that right? Am I pronouncing that correctly? Can you tell? What is that? And then they're like, oh, blah, blah, they're like, oh, okay, great. Now, Dark Sun. Is it a space game? Like, what is going on here? So it was kind of like, very much, and of course,
It was
Jess.
top level of top level. It was the most.
Jess-
It was so top level. Even I was like, wow. Even I couldn't even.
Meanwhile-
My brain couldn't even conceive of questions that high level.
Whereas my take on it was, I was sitting there in this press junket room, and Steven was doing his interviews, and there were other people doing their interviews. A lot of people doing audio only interviews. We were only one of the few people actually doing video interviews. We were also the only people who brought our own lighting setup. But anyways, I digress.
We're the only people who had dual camera setups.
Right,
We're the only people that had wireless mics. We could go on and on and on.
Listen, I had to flex on them a little bit. But anyways, I'm sitting in this room and I'm listening to everybody ask these questions. And my thought was, okay, I was like, you cowards. I was like, why is nobody going, oh, exciting announcement today, Dark Sun coming to D&D 5th edition. Yeah, we're really excited. It's a great way to bring back that old IP. Wonderful. Are you bringing it all back? Is there going to be slavery and environmental protection / exploitation themes within the game? Is that going to be discussed? No, nobody was asking the hard hitting
I know,
questions.
even I forgot that one, but I found out later, yes. That actually supposedly the answer is yes.
And I said this to my Discord, and somebody from my Discord was like, that's why they need you asking the questions in those interviews, Derik. And then somebody else in my Discord, a much wiser person, said, no, that's why Derik will never be allowed to answer those questions.
Watersleeth said that in the chat too. Derik must be on the interview blacklist.
Yes, 100%. And they're right. They are right to do so. Because
they were answering our questions.
No, they were very. In fact,
so I was being asked something. What am I being asked? It started with Mark. I'm going to ask you something. What am I being asked about this? Which ones I prefer, or why don't people ask the hard-hitting questions? I mean, like.
Well, what do you think of that whole thing? I guess when you were
easier to ask the hard-hitting questions if you ask them, or to discuss the hard-hitting topics if you do so in a way that shows that you have empathy for the person you're asking it to, and you're not trying to gotcha them, but you're there for a conversation, and you're there just to hear what they have to say about it, right? Like, here's a good example. When we had a bunch of people before the interview on Ravenloft that were in our chat that kept saying, you have to ask them about like the amount that's an overlap with the previous Ravenloft book. Like, what's going on with that? And they just kept doing it. They're like, are you guys actually going to ask that? And we did, but we didn't ask it as like a gotcha or in a nasty way. We had Mackenzie on, and we said, like, we were talking about like the idea and the strategy and having another book. Like, are you going to want to lose information for a new person who didn't have the previous book that was in the previous one? And we talked about which parts were mostly overlaps. It was a lot of the like section on running a horror game. That was a really good section. Anyway, the point is, that was a question that could be seen as a harder hitting one because it was what the people who were critical of the book were asking us to ask the most, but we did it in a respectful way. And I saw that people seemed to think that we did a good job, whether they were people who liked the book or were kind of just trying to look in more critically about it.
Well, it was, it could have been, oh man, this book is a rip. Half of it is just a reprint of past books. Why are you ripping off your customers?
But we didn't ask it like that.
Right. No, we did it like, we actually explained, and so rather Mackenzie explained why you had reprinted material and explained this is why it's in there.
And how much changed, what was new, what was like the killer app from the new book and all things like that. That's we try to go at hard-hitting questions with empathy, but still we're not shy of delving into the deep topics. Whereas I think that for other people who are asking, they just are like, well, this is a really tough or nasty one, and out of respect, they're just like, well, let's just not make them answer this question, or like maybe they won't ask us to ask them questions again.
In all fairness, they may have questions. In all fairness, those other interviewers may have been asking those questions, on behalf of their audience who may not know. But also, in all fairness, I mean, I think a lot of those interviewers also themselves didn't know.
Oh no, that was the funny part, is that we could tell, because first of all, a lot of those interviews look like they're in their 20s. That was the first thing, and the second part was they obviously have never played or know anything about these systems.
I think of like I think of World of Warcraft as like a new MMO, but I'm like, nope. That It came out 22 years ago. You know,
22 years.
you were 1 or 2. You know,
Exactly.
well, Cranky Smurf. I mean, the announcements were made at Gen Con. There was a select few people who got sort of a preview so that you could maybe get some of your stuff worked up ahead of time. But Cranky Smurf, I mean, it was, released at Gen Con, the knowledge and I did. I mean, I had some insider access, and I didn't know about Star Wars. So
I didn't know about Star Wars either.
I think they may not have told the insiders Star Wars.
They didn't.
They just told a lot of the other things. So there was a big surprise even for the insiders.
That is correct. Well, they do that on purpose because they want to make sure that we pay attention, and they didn't give everything out. And then they kind of gave everything out after the keynote. So, I mean, the other thing that was pretty good, and I totally forgot, is I did see Joe Manganiello with playing death saves with Professor and Luke and Dottie and Mike Merles. And that was pretty fun. Actually, it was pretty fun. It was actually, I sometimes fall asleep at those at those live actual plays, but that was a good group. They were lively, and man, he's got the riz, man. He was good. He was really funny when he was playing. I was like, yeah, why these guys are in Hollywood. I was kind of you're surprised that Mike Merles was there. Well, it's Mike Merles' setting, and I was more surprised because I've been in a private game with Mike Merles and others for 6 months, and the game we were playing was Death Saves, and I didn't even know it. And damn it, he was play testing us all along, and I'm like, come on, man, I didn't even know. He's like, I was talking to him after. I'm like, all right, good job. Man, but everyone had a good presence there. Everyone, even Joseph Goodman, I was talking to him. Goodman Games was doing great. Everyone was. It looked like everyone's growing up and everyone's becoming a big boy. And I'll tell you the other thing that also was surprising, which is very semi-irrelevant, but everyone's games. So I said this like 5-6 years ago, I would go and you would have D&D and Paizo. Like their games were unbelievable. And then a lot of other people's games, layout, design, art, it was fine, but it was definitely a couple levels down. But man, everyone's games. Look at Daggerheart. Oh, Daggerheart. I mean, Jesus, their stuff is light years past everyone else. It's like everyone's game. I was going to a nothing booth of a game I've never heard of, and I'm looking at the production quality of these books, and I'm just like, this is like stunning how nice these things are. Everyone's games look fantastic now.
Everyone's definitely stepped the game up. I really feel like you have to. I mean, it's both good, but also unfortunate, because I do think it means that the bar is a little bit higher.
The bar is way higher now than it was just a few years ago.
And
much higher.
Dr. Waite says, is RFC going to have to step it up? Look, Steven is always trying to be improving. He's always
RFC is stepping it up. I got news for you, Derik. Guess what? Just came in an hour ago. We got a 10 by 20 for Unplugged.
Oh my God.
It's going to be exciting since 10 by 10 was so cramped at Unplugged.
I mean, on one hand.
Oh, you loved the 10 by 20 at GaryCon. That was fantastic. And I'm redoing the booth. I'm upping the booth. We're up in it. We're up in it. Don't worry.
Oh, you're up in the game, Steven?
I'm up in the game. Oh, am I stepping up? Please.
Steven doesn't know how not to step up.
I do not know how to not.
The 10 by 20 was very nice. I will admit that. But I will say that the only problem is I've heard before that life is a series of renting or buying ever growing larger houses to hold all of your shit. And the only thing I'm worried about is that getting a bigger booth will just give Steven the sort of unconscious mental permission to add more SKUs.
Yes.
And I can't add the SKUs. There's so many SKUs.
Look what I got. Look, I got the print. I got the book. I got the hardcover design.
Wait.
I got it.
Steven, instead of SKUs of books, maybe you could step it up by adding more like displays and things.
I'm doing both.
He's doing both. He was definitely taking notes about like, ooh, I wonder where they got that made and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
I've got it for the biggest surprise of Gen Con. Okay. No, we are not playing Battleship. B5.
B5?
That was B5.
Babylon 5?
Nope.
They did just announce that all the shows are live on the Babylon 5 YouTube channel. JMS just announced that the other day. So you could have been
That's
talking
pretty
about
awesome.
Babylon 5.
I should go. and
Someone
rewatch
in chat,
Babylon 5.
TJ Duck, also thought it was Babylon 5.
No,
Yeah.
So did Buster.
no. B5. Come on, Steven. Figure it out. B5.
B5. What are we talking about?
I'm B5. That's
There's some big surprise at Gen Con that he is abbreviating as B5.
No, I'm not abbreviating. Well, no, it's not an abbreviation. It's actually what it's called.
Oh, it's just called B5 with not short for anything.
Null Zero. That's sick. And Jackal, Whore on the Hill. That's awesome. That you guys got that reference. Basic 5. Nope. I'll give you another hint, Steven. This will give it away.
Yeah. My brain's like fluoride. Yeah.
Portuguese.
Oh, you mean? Hold on. That was the thing that blew Derik away.
It did.
You mean these
Yes.
B5 size kit books? So this is Portuguese Shadowdark, and this is a B5 book. This is A5 book. And we were looking, and by the way, let's do the full thing. And then here is the size of American
letter.
So let's do that this way.
And by the way, that Elemental Storm's not fair because it doesn't have paper in it, so it's kind of spreading all over the place. Yeah. So
oh no, this is the wrong size too. Okay,
but
this is B5. All right, so you could see the size.
That's A5, then B5, and then letter, and a classic US letter. So B5 is a larger version of A5. It's actually designed to be the geometric mean between A5 and A4. So it's actually like in between. It's literally designed to be that. So, and the Portuguese language is longer. So when they did the official Portuguese translation of Shadowdark, they used B5 instead of A5 because they needed more space for the words. And a gentleman was there with the official B5 copy to give to Kelsey and the Arcane Library people. And we got to hold it. And I've seen B5 places before, comic books, but I've obviously had a lot of experience directly with A5, via, Shadowdark and books of this nature. And I like the format. It fits well in the hands, but it feels a little bit, Reader's Digest-y. In fact, I think that's why it's called the digest size, is because it feels more like a little
that is correct.
Cute little zines. The B5 feels more like a proper book, right? Without being
nice,
as big.
A nice size, not too big, not too
really
small.
Nice. Right, it's Goldilocks.
Just
it's right, just
really,
right.
It's really good size,
and it's really nice. And I was playing around with it in Photoshop because I don't know InDesign, and I had like the A4 stuff, and I was like bringing stuff over. I was like, oh my god, look at it's like when Kramer painted the lane lines,
It's so much room, so wide.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, we were looking. That was funny. It was such a small thing because then I showed you the book and you were like, "What's that?" Oh, and then you held it, and I saw your eyes light up. You're like, oh. You're like, you saw the light. You're like, oh, this is the right size. Why are we all not using this size?
Yeah, it was a wonderful size.
It's a wonderful size. It is. It's perfect.
Yes.
It's not too big and not too small.
Yeah, it's really nice.
What? These books, as someone who has to do all the layout, let me tell you. It's hard to get a lot. These are a pain, okay? And let me tell you, this is a pain for the other reason because it's too small. But this, I have a feeling, will be a really nice layout. This challenge. Yeah. This will be much easier.
And my number one problem with A5, and I tested this with the B5. My number one problem with the A5 is, depending on the size and the nature of the binding, it is really hard to get these books to lay flat.
Oh yeah.
And they're great for reading. They're great for grabbing. Like, see, it's like it's really handheldable. It's like a sandwich. It's handheldable. But a sandwich, when I'm thinking of sandwich, I'm thinking like a Wonder Bread sandwich, right? That's not really a meal. It's not really a meal. It's easy to keep in one hand, but it's not really a meal. Like a peanut butter and jelly sandwich.
Is it not really a meal? You keep
really
saying that. Not really.
So this is like getting,
this is like, nice.
Yeah.
Not too big.
It lays nicely. It doesn't pop up. I was really impressed. Yes, that's null zero. You're absolutely right. Old School Central chose A5, and so now all of OSR is A5 if it's not letter. And it's funny that you say that null zero because
It's actually
we
not
at
true.
night.
I'll
Well,
tell you
no,
why.
but we at Night's Last Call, we are seriously considering doing a third party book for Fabula Ultima because we love the game so much, and I've been playing it for this year, so like the last 6-7 months, and we love it. And somebody was saying we're talking about the B5, and somebody said, "Oh, so are you going to make it A5?" And I said, "I don't know." I was like, "I really like this B5 setting. It gives me more room. It more fits my aesthetic of what I want to do with design." And then somebody goes, "Yeah, but then it won't match the Fabula Ultima books." And I was like,
True.
that the tyranny of it has to match with the other books on the shelf. And I find myself a little torn for that because I understand the aesthetic draw, but I also feel like that's how you end up getting locked into this.
Well,
You can only do things one way.
It gets
all time.
worse. I'll tell you one.
Someone who's not the shelf guy, and I don't care if it matches, you need to match it because there are a lot of people who care, who are not me,
I know.
but are going to pass you by immediately if you
So by
don't.
the way, I'm going to show you
Have
something.
you considered how little I care about success?
Well, if you want to fail, make it
If you wanna
actually
fail, then-
make it letter.
then-
Just do it as
You know
different
what?
as
Just make it
possible.
a triangle. Do what they did on The Office and just make it a triangle.
Yeah.
So by the way, here's something else that actually made printers insane.
Oh, the Dolman wood is taller.
No, Dolman wood. Well, these are actually quote the correct size.
Oh,
All D&D books are a 1/4 inch too small. Like they're smaller than other books of their ilk. So if you look at D&D and if you look at Pathfinder and all those other books, they're actually a slightly smaller than any other books of that size. And because all these books are that size, everyone has to make it. Because when I was talking to printers, or if you go to a printer and have something printed, like that's actually one of the reasons why, by the way, I don't use what's it called? Print on demand. So print on demand can only do set sizes, and print on demand books are actually a little too big. If you ever noticed, they're like, they don't quite fit because D&D books are slightly smaller than a quote standard size. And so are Pathfinder, and now so are ours. Everyone's.
Cinnabos. I was literally just thinking that. I was going to say that, Cinnabos. I was like, or we could use hexagonal or octagonal paper like in Battlestar Galactica.
There you go.
Well,
Yeah,
there
do
you
that.
go. There you go. Just be a total
People will
pain in
get
the
so
ass.
upset. You'll be sure not to sell any copies.
By the way, so the reason why everyone uses digest size now, it's because of manga. Because manga has completely taken over Barnes and Noble and a lot of other places, and they like it for a million reasons. But they have been redoing their shelves. In fact, if you go into a Barnes and Noble, they have redone all their shelves to fit manga size books. So you literally can't.
Okay, well,
there's not as many of these size books anymore.
Traditional professional manga is B4.
You're correct, and it's
So it's
actually
not even
smaller.
A4.
But
it's not even
they're-
A4.
But because they're American shelves, they are designed for this. So you're completely right. Because I was talking to publishers about that, and that's why
And
everyone's
traditional
doing a digest.
Japanese graphic novels, Tando Kopone, are B6. So if anything, I'm actually being more traditional.
Well, I'm just going by like people are actually installing these shelves to hold manga books, and that's why people are actually doing smaller RPGs, is because they actually want them to fit in those shelves.
So I you know what I'll do, Mark? I'll be like, in order to embrace the obvious Japanese root of Fabula Ultima and its JRPG influence, we have decided to avoid the Eurocentrism and American centricism of the A format, and have decided to embrace the B5 format that is so espoused by the
Oh
Japanese
my God.
people.
Can we talk about paper now? Because like this is the most like I'm like,
Shouldn't you be embracing the Italian roots of Fabula Ultima?
Here's
Well,
the
no,
funny. Here's the thing.
because
I figured out.
it's a Japanese.
The most popular paper
Wait.
size for a Tascabili is 11 by 18.
Wait.
Listen,
I'm figuring this out.
The real con is the 230 people that are listening to us talk about paper size.
Well, that's the funny thing. Is like my whole thing is when I start talking about paper. Now, Derik's new thing is paper size. My thing is
Yes.
paper quality. Yours is
Right.
paper size. Then we just got to get Mark. Mark has to get paper, maybe texture,
Paper color or luster.
Yeah, color.
Yeah.
That's it. We all have to have our own paper. Our paper
Wouldn't you rather
snobbery.
have dark mode paper?
Look,
it's easier
if-
to read
Oh,
than
if people
we
look,
have a-
I don't care about paper. Bullshit. Pick up a One Ring. You open that book up and you feel the paper, and if your face doesn't go like this, oh, because that paper is unbelievably nice.
B5.
In fact, Steven's face actually looked like Gollum when he touches that paper. He's like,
precious, my precious.
It is so toothy.
It's so
It feels like cotton rag. It feels like canvas.
It is. It actually has a little bit of rag to it. It's you
Yeah.
can
Is
feel
that the right
texture.
term? Rag? Is that the
Yes,
rag?
Yeah,
Rag
yeah.
is the
It
term?
actually has a
Yeah.
little bit of texture to it. Oh, it's so nice.
It's so nice. It's pretty.
Someone
Anyway,
in chat says we need to do a
so
paper
nice.
ancestry with heritages based on the different
Okay.
paper sizes.
So a B5
It
book
is nice.
with a B5 book with
The
this
other one
cover
is nice.
with this cover treatment or
This also
or
has good
actually
paper.
no, actually take that back. I want a B5. I want a B5
pirate
I want a B-
paper.
B5
Nice.
book with this paper, with this cover treatment, but I want the UV, some of the elements, some of the areas of the cover to be that UV reverse UV foiling
UV.
or whatever it's called.
UV.
Yeah, I love
UVA.
that. I love that. I think that's so cool.
Yeah.
Anyways,
Guess what? On my book, guess what? That's what I
Yeah.
did because I wanted my cover. Where'd it go? Shit. Oh, here it is. I wanted this cover to stand out. So if you look carefully, I have this as UV. I have all
Yeah.
the names as UV.
Yeah, I love that. I think that's a great
So
format.
actually, if you look carefully, it's not
Yeah.
silver. It's actually white, but it has UV coating on the white on the cover. So it has a little bit of reflectiveness, but not because I didn't actually like. I mean, don't tell Kelsey this, but don't tell Kelsey. I actually don't love the silver on this because she's actually using silver ink on black. So because I feel it's a little dull. So I instead did white.
When you
on
put it in the
black.
lighting in your room, it does look a little like right on
Yeah,
this
it's
camera.
okay.
Elemental Storm looks cleaner.
Right,
than
and I did
the
white
Storm black.
with UV.
Okay,
so
let-
it's actually
Now,
combination.
this isn't actually my stream, but I haven't actually streamed really since Gen Con. So the context for this is we were discussing, I've been making a lot of monsters for my Fabulous Ultimate campaign. And so there's discussion of, I should do that. And a lot of people wanted me to make something small for a while. And I said, that'd be cool. We could do a digital only product. And originally my intention was to make something for Foundry, for compendiums, and then to make a PDF only, which I would actually lay out 16 by 9 or like 16 by 10 so that it would fit on a landscape tablet or with the kickstand out or on a computer monitor and actually fill the whole space and just design it assuming it's only going to ever be viewed digitally, never printed. But then when I talked to the Need Game guys, I talked to Nico and I talked to Mateo, they were like, no, you must print it. It must be printed. And they were like hyping me up so much. And I was like, oh man, if I make this, do I have to print it? And so now I'm thinking about paper and I'm thinking about printing.
That's right.
And
Someone
that's where that
asked,
came.
how does the 5e paper hold up? 5e paper is excellent. They actually use 80 pound, I think it's gold stock. It's actually, I use either the same or a little bit more expensive paper myself, but their paper is very, very good. The reason why, okay, we're really getting into it, is because they do a very heavy ink, double-sided paper full color. So to do that, you actually need, you can't go lower than 60. 60 you'll start seeing through, and 70 no one likes. So you have to do 80. So we have to do an 80 pound stock, otherwise you'll see through the paper. And then they actually have to, because they have so much artwork, they actually have to use a very thick. And
The
very
funny thing
strong
is, we
paper.
did a poll to see which of the weird digressions people like in Roll for Combat, and paper actually did the worst. Between baseball, paper, Steven stories, which did the best, and the 80s movies.
Well, this is a combination of. We can talk about. Have any of you seen the movie The Paper? There.
All right. But what about Draw Steel though?
Draw Steel gets an F. They have the worst. Where's my Draw Steel?
This
For the
paper
paper quality.
It's
so
beyond shit. I'll tell you why too. Hold
this
on.
paper's so bad.
Look, it's not paper. It's here's my Draw Steel. It's actually not paper. So this paper. So This, you can see through it, no problem. It's 60-pound weight, and this is print on demand. Okay, that's why this looks like utter garbage.
Yeah.
They used. Yeah, it is. It's actually 60-pound.
It's like magazine paper.
Yeah, no, it's 60-pound. And because and the problem is,
does that make it not paper though? You said it's not paper.
Well, I was kidding. It might as well not be, because
I was
the problem
going to be surprised to hear it was parchment. It was put on animal.
No,
tissue.
Well, no, because the problem is like, okay, it's a 400-page book. Okay, a 400-page book. This book is actually pretty heavy, but they're only using 60-pound paper. If they actually used 80-pound paper, this book would be 25% heavier. I mean, it's actually, and they have to ship it, and they were rushing to get this thing out. I don't know if you remember, they barely made it in time for Gen Con last year. I mean, this is what drives me crazy. Look at that UPC symbol. It's like, what? I mean, look at the size of it. I sit there, I make it as small as legally possible. There's actual legal size, and I make it as small as legally possible. There's like, throw that sucker on there, and who cares?
Yeah.
Even though it covers up all the art and it's beyond ugly. I'm like, oh my God. Actually, my new books, I'm not even going to put it on the book. That's how much I hate UPC symbols. I'm going to have it wrapped in plastic, and I'm going to have it on the wrap. And that way, it won't even be on the book.
But see, this is what I'm concerned about. Wes says, if it's printed, talking about me doing something, I'd want it the same size as Fabula Ultima, even though I'm not
have to do it.
No, even though I'm not a fan of the size.
Yeah.
So like, I hate that, and which is why
we lost some people. No one wants to hear about our paper rant anymore.
Which is why I'm probably going to lay out 2 different books. Anyways, okay, so moving on.
There's no UPC code on Shadowdark book, because that's what she does.
So Gen Con,
she wraps it, and then she puts the UPC code on the plastic.
So I know that this audience isn't necessarily the most like hyper indie, but it was a big thing for indie games. Like Free League is going to be doing a revised version of the One Ring.
Okay, there's a decent number of indie and OSR people who watch us now, Derik.
Once and for all why they're doing it, because nobody knew, and I'm just like, and everyone's guessing. We actually know.
At Gamma, in fact, I actually asked Tomas Herenstrom, the CEO of Free League. Middle Earth Enterprises sold their license to Embracer Group, and I asked Tomas Herenstrom at Gamma, how does that affect you? Are you going to lose your license?
And he said, of Free League.
This is a publisher of Free League, and he said, no, our relationship with them has been really good. I imagine we're going to have to work out some new contracts and new licenses. So as part of that, they now need to print under this new license. And so since they have to, basically, as I understand it, they're going to just let their current print run dwindle, but they can't print any new books on that old license. So they have to do a new print run anyways. They're not like being told it's a cease and desist, but they do have to do a new print run. So if you're going to do a new print run anyways, why not go in there and, just, clean it up a little bit, tweak it, make it a little bit, fix the things. It's not a full new edition.
It's a remaster. I mean, game designers like me can't resist when you give us a chance to remaster and to make things better. We love doing that.
Fix all the errors and fix all the things.
Because they've done a handful of they've done like in the third printing, they fixed a couple of typos and stuff like that.
Yeah, but that's something small. If you want to actually make adjustments to something that's not going as well as you would want, or make something cooler, you need a remaster style thing.
So it really is like a 2.5 for One Ring, and they said it's going to be it's 100% compatible with all of it. And I actually believe it, because I don't think they're going to fundamentally change or restructure.
I think they're literally just updating it and like doing a cleanup because they have to. And that's it.
And they do have to. And
they're doing a Kickstarter for the revised edition, because they're like, well, if we're going to do a new one anyhow, I have to reprint it. Might as well make some money.
So that's a whole separate conversation, but I think it's terrible when companies do that. I understand that's become like why give 8% to pay, whatever payment processors and Kickstarter. You're a big company. You can afford to do this. People could pre-order through you. Be a responsible adult.
It's going to make $1 million.
So here's the question, Derik.
And I think here's the question. Just as big as Darrington Press, but yeah.
Is it okay to give 8% to Kickstarter if, let's say, if Free League gets 5% to Kickstarter, if Free League gets 5 times as many sales by doing that?
It is. I just think it's gross and disgusting. Like, just pre-order it. Like Darrington Press doesn't use Kickstarter.
Yeah, they do. They did for the cards,
but they didn't for Hope and Fear.
True.
You pre-ordered it through their website.
You're true, but they're the exception to the rule.
Right. But
They're
anyways,
way because they have
okay.
also did
But
they
the other thing that
advertise
Free
it on
League
their
is
own
doing-
streams and have like did they give themselves $1 million worth of soft advertising? Yes. So no one else.
The other
can
thing
do
about
that.
Free League is so again, I just don't like it. I don't like when companies use Kickstarter for something that it's not really designed for. Anyways,
Oh God.
but
I don't
it's
like when they don't use it the way it should be
it's
used.
it's the same way. I don't like when people like drop ship bulk crap on Etsy. Etsy was designed for small creators to have a platform to sell their stuff.
Well, you know what, and so was Etsy was supposed to be like small crap, and like 90% of what I see on Etsy is, as you said, drop ship crap. Actually, I'm on you with that. Right.
Yeah,
It's like
okay.
stuff I can buy anywhere.
Well, Kickstarter was designed for that. Anyways, I don't consider Free League to be a small indie.
Well, in
company.
theory, if you try to do something, well, you're interesting. You're not allowed to Kickstarter something that's already out, by the way. They will block it. But that's a new product, even though it's a reprint, so that's allowed. So
Right. Yes, you
But
can
they
do
also-
new printings or
Yeah.
new runs
Anything
or
new.
anything like that.
But
Yeah,
they're
those are
also
just
going to be
new.
doing a digital platform, which may or may not include
by
a VTT.
the way, there was like a dozen companies that are coming out with their own digital platforms now. by
Well,
the way.
you know what it is. It's like the new we're canceling cable, and you're gonna get. And now you've got. Well, I
Uh-huh.
don't because I have 0 subscriptions. But you'll have your Netflix and your Hulu and your Disney
That's
and your
right.
ABC Family and your Paramount. Suddenly, you're paying more money than you paid with cable.
Well, you know why they're doing it? I'll tell you. I'll tell you why. The same reason that I don't use a lot of other companies. It's like Fantasy Grounds takes 50%. 50%.
Yep.
Roll20 takes 35%. Foundry takes $1 to $2 per key, but that's only if you are hosting and doing a lot. If you have to be pretty sophisticated to do it, but we do it that way. So Foundry's the best one, but even they're moving on to the 35%. That's actually how they're doing most of the new people. So that's the other thing. Simple math. It's like, well, we can either do these digital versions because digital is now clearly the future. And we can either do digital versions where we're giving 30% to everyone else for doing nothing, or I can make my own website, which really isn't that hard nowadays with a combination of AI and coders. Like, it really isn't. I mean, I can tell you, it's not that hard anymore. Like 5 years ago, sure. Now, not as hard as you think. And
Right.
they keep 100%. And yes, you have to maintain it and update it. It's a lot more work than you think. But for a lot of these companies that are big enough, it's worth it. And you're going to see that more and more.
And I know Wes is trolling me. He says, "You're right. I have my subscriptions. I have too many subscriptions. I should drop my KLC one." The difference is, in theory, my content is free. You're just paying
whether you
because
pay me
want
or
to
not,
support.
you still can watch me.
Right.
So,
Exactly.
Steven, I want to back up. Are you saying it's smart to have their own VTT?
They're not VTTs. It's actually their own storefronts because.
Oh, well, of course it's good to have your own storefront because then you're not
they're
like
actually
being
doing their own
boxed
storefronts.
out, but
Right, they're doing their own storefronts. Like,
no,
keep in
it's
mind,
their
most of
own.
these
It's
companies,
it's their own digital rules. It's the D&D Beyond.
it's D&D Beyond, right?
But for Free League, so
Sure,
you'll
right.
be able to get it's
But,
demo playing, but just for Free League.
Okay, all these companies, and this is why I actually don't really use drive-through. They're all in drive-through. You see, they all fell into. Okay, let's go back in time. Steven's story. Sit back and relax. Steven's story.
I gotta go to the bathroom.
All right, you go to the bathroom while I tell the story. I don't think you've heard this one, by the way, Mark. I was there in the 90s when when Toys R Us, remember Toys R Us? Toys R Us needed to get onto digital, and they were desperate. So they made a deal with Amazon. So they were going to sell.
oh yeah, you mentioned this story before.
Okay, I mentioned the story. And they were going to sell their toys on Amazon.com. And not only did that nearly destroy Toys R Us, but it taught Amazon. And I was there. I was actually on the meetings for that account when I was working. I was working I was working with every ad agency. I don't even remember which ad agency had that, but I was at the meetings in New Jersey with them when this was happening. And even then, I was like, God, this is a bad idea. I was like, this is a bad idea. It's like, because you're basically giving the keys to the kingdom to Amazon, because then they learn like everything and how to do it. And that, if you watch any of these business videos, that was considered one of the massive turning points why Amazon became Amazon where it is today, because they learned so much by working with Toys R Us, which was at the point way bigger than Amazon was. And also it was a completely different category of market that they were learning about. They were learning about not just toys, but diapers and kids. And like, kids products are a very complex market. I did a lot of work in kids products. It's very complex. So they learned a lot, and they being Toys R Us got destroyed and ended up building their own system and platform. Because they made no money. I think they lost like so much on that. They ended up doing everything they didn't want it to do. It's like they didn't sell any toys. It was a total disaster. They lost a ton of money, and then they created their biggest competitor. Anyhow,
So you were talking about examples of
I'm getting there.
VTTs,
I'm getting
but then you maybe should have mentioned drive-through and other platforms.
Well, that's what I said. Not VTTs, it's drive-through. So what happened is all these companies did that. Is that they didn't want to do digital on their stores or on their, they're like, you know what? We'll go to drive-through. It's easier. And they're all on drive-through. Except drive-through takes 35%. And what does drive-through do? Nothing. Okay. They take 35%. So you literally put your PDF on drive-through. By the way, you're not allowed to see any of your customers. So I have no idea who buys my products in drive-through. If I put a product up, whether it's one customer, 10,000, I have no idea. Actually, that's not true. I know how many have bought it, but I have no access to any customers in drive-through. It's all private. So I basically am giving all my sales and all my information to drive-through, and then they take 35%. Why? Like, why would you do that? Like, there's no reason to do that. Okay. Knowing that now this was my job, I was like, very first thing we did, digital. I went as heavy digital as I could, make sure we had our own store, make sure it's always being up to date, make sure you always get emails whenever the products are released, make sure we're on Foundry. Like, I knew digital was the future, and I went all in on digital, make sure we controlled every aspect of digital.
You could probably stand to turn that down a little bit. Sometimes I think the marketing's a little too strong there, buddy.
What do you mean?
I got a lot of Deathbringer emails. I'm just gonna say.
Oh, well, believe it or not, there was no Deathbringer email for like the last couple of weeks because I was away. No, today was the standard. Today was we came out with our standard weekly newsletter.
So, Derik, I think what's making you get hit by more is that you were added to the project.
Yeah, you're added to the project.
When I'm added to the you're lucky. But when I'm added to the project, I wind up on like four different of Steven's lists. I sometimes receive multiple copies of things.
Anytime you want. I'll tell you who gets
unsubscribed multiple times and still gotten things because I'm on 7 different lists or something like that.
Don't worry. I will. Well, I'm sorry. You worked for me. You gotta be on those lists. But anyhow, but no. But that's what they're all waking up to the fact, because they run the numbers. They're going, wait a second. We're selling thousands and thousands of products through drive-through, and they get 35%, and they're doing nothing. Well, why don't we take that money?
The idea
to take the money and build our own platform, because you know what? Not that expensive anymore. And
the idea is that you are going to get visibility. But what a lot of people say is that, drive-through RPG doesn't do shit to promote you anyways.
Yeah, they don't do anything.
And
how are you going to get visibility in that mass of thousands of things that are on there?
Well, that's the other thing. Well, because they were the only game
things
in town.
Like Pathfinder Infinite or those other ones that are small, you have more visibility because there aren't as many things that are on that. But of course, then you're paying 50% on those.
Yeah. By the way, the Backer Kid update on Deathbringer was because Backer Kid yelled at me. They're like, "Why aren't you updating? Why aren't you updating?" I was like, "Okay." They got to the point that they actually preset up the updates for me because they're like, "You gotta update," and I was like, "Okay."
Oh, you haven't been doing too many updates on the Kickstarter. It's just the marketing emails.
That's the same thing.
Whatchamacallit? I mean,
guess what? It's the final week. You're gonna get it.
I mean, for me, the advantage of drive-through RPG is that I have, in theory, a one-stop shop for all of my digital records.
Correct. That's what people say. And because they asked me to be on drive-through. And here's the thing. I actually secretly am. We actually have our products on drive-through. I just never promote them. So I literally say, like, if you really want them, they're on drive-through.
But like when I get my PDF directly from Free League, now I'm like, I'll like be like, I don't have like this. What now? You're like, people are like, that's why I have a cloud-based Google storage. Okay, you're better. You're a better person than me. Okay, you're just a better organized. You're probably better looking. You're better in bed. Like you're just a better person than me. But I'm not that. I'm not that. Yeah, I'm not that. You know.
Well, here's organized. The one thing I will say: you do what I do, which is I give you more on Roll for Combat. I give you more. I like if you do the PDF on drive-through, I think all you get is the PDF. But if you do it on ours, you get the PDF, you get all the icons, you get the digital assets.
Yeah.
And it gets updated constantly. You will always get the emails right away. So
Todd Zurcher's got the big brain. He hosts them. He gives them away for free. They get 35% of nothing, and they just host the stuff for free.
Well, that is also the way you do it. Is that you can that is correct. Is that it's not, but that's why Free League and a lot of these other companies are all starting to wake up to realize, you know, we're paying them to do nothing. Now, if you go the route of Steam, so once again, guess what? Hey, what we're talking about 10, 15 years ago, this was happening. They're actually talking about this. Okay, they read my mind. This actually already happened in the video game industry. So there was the big war between Steam, GOG, Epic. There was EA Direct, like and Xbox. Everyone came with Sony, Nintendo Direct. Like everyone has their own store because they were like, Steam is literally making billions, because they're the only game in town. Except for the thing is, Steam actually does a really good job, and Steam is a different animal because Steam is I won't get into the mechanics, but Steam is just a very, very different animal. Steam is you're getting video games and everything's in one library. And that is what drive-through is trying to become, but they're not, because drive-through is just a storefront. Like you buy it and yes, your library's there, but then you download it onto your computer and you're reading your computer. You're not playing and reading your books through drive-through. So it's not the same. Like the equivalent of Steam is, I say, Kindle. Like Kindle, it's like not only is your books there, but you download them and then read them through Kindle. And yes, you can download them on your computer and do it. Big pain in the ass. No one really does it unless they just want to have it on their computer. Mostly you just do it through Kindle. So Steam and Kindle are kind of the same thing. Drive-through is more akin to, I don't even know what drive-through is akin to, but you know, or a D&D Beyond is closer to Steam, by the way. And that's why 78% of all players now are on D&D Beyond. And that's the other thing. Once you lock them to that ecosystem, they're locked in forever. And that's what it's all about now is ecosystems. Oh, do you have racquetball? I didn't even realize. Wow, we're really talking. It's 5:54. I didn't even realize.
I do.
2 hours stream by like nothing.
It's 4:54.
I mean 4:54. I was like, oh my God, we just went through like 10 minutes. There was, and we didn't even cover everything. There was so much. No,
but I was. Well, that's what I was trying to say. That got covered to death on social media. But like, I want to say, you know, as sort of the resident indie hyper, you know, Gen Con's a big con for everybody. And I mean, the D&D announcement, quote unquote, you know, sucked the wind, you know, air, but it didn't, in the sense that, you know, we were talking about this, Stephen, about how you go to the people who, you know, the Gen Con for the board games and the big announcements, and they're like, oh, D&D's here? I didn't even know. Oh, right? Because they're there for their big announcements. And what, you know, what are the big titles that are coming out and what are the big, you know, winners from their
everyone's
world.
There for their own little niche.
You know, so, you know, from my perspective, it's like, you know, Darrington Press laid out a really exciting roadmap. You know, they talked about how they're going to do 2 major releases a year. Whereas, you know, we obviously got 1 last year, 1 this year, but now it's going to be double that going forward, which for a small company like that, I think is really great and exciting, especially.
They doubled in size, their company too.
Right. They doubled in size. They're growing. You know, the support for the game is there. Again, Free League is going to be getting expanding, you know, their offerings into this digital space, but they're also going to be doing a revision of the One Ring. Edge Studios is finishing a Scorpion book. I mean, there's just
and you know what else is getting bigger? This guy. Roll for Combat. Hey man, we got you grow or die, man.
Adapt or Die. That's
no, grow or die.
no, adapt or Die is from Moneyball.
I know. Moneyball. Come on, please. I've only seen that 10 trillion times. That movie.
It's such a good movie.
I know, and it's such a silly. People like the movie is literally about people talking about spreadsheets, and yet it is fantastic.
Yeah. I mean, it's like The Big Short, which is another movie I love.
Well, anyhow,
but yeah. Anyways,
it was super exciting. What do you think of? Were you following anything, Mark? Were you like following the news or anything, or not really?
I saw some of the news, the major D&D and Paizo news, but not really any of the other newses because I just was trying to just work on my stuff since I wasn't at Gen Con. And
the right answer. I didn't watch anything. I was too busy working.
And I was
great answer for your boss. All
I was hoping to have a birthday that
that's right.
Working.
It was your birthday. So happy birthday.
Happy birthday.
It was for once a very happy birthday where I was not like working Gen Con.
Oh well, there you go.
No, I mean from Paizo, from a lot of things. And during the pandemic I also had birthdays where I wasn't working, but once Gen Con moved from mid-August to early August and late July, I wound up with some very interesting situations for my birthday where I've been exhausted sometimes. It's a lot of fun, but it's so much so draining.
RFC announcements for this year.
Deathbringer, basically
Deathbringer. I mean, Deathbringer's been taking up most of our. Well, we had two big ones. We had Eldamon Legends, which has already started. And
Eldamon Legends, which people seem to be really excited about so far, and I'm really excited about the next ones coming up for Legends too. We've got Deathbringer.
We got Deathbringer. These are going to print.
That's a big one. Also, we announced. We haven't actually crowdfunded it or anything yet, but we announced previously at some of the conventions that there will be an event at some point, that New Dragon project, right? We said what it was called, not even at Gen Con, but before that at a previous convention. So we announced
coming next, actually.
Yeah, we announced War of the Dragons, which is
going to
be
about that tomorrow. I'm meeting with some people about that tomorrow. The people I'm working with someone to actually do the Kickstarter with. So
so that's cool.
So I have
cool.
to do everything.
Well,
thank God.
Yeah, we have a lot of the art and the words for that. We're still going to need to work on it, obviously,
and all the words. We actually have the whole thing. We have both.
We have all the words and almost all of the art.
I got all the art. I got everything.
Oh, okay.
It's all done.
There may be a few half pagers. I still have to give you for.
I got everything. They're all done. I got everything.
You're sure that I gave you all of them for both books? I know that the evil one has all of it, but maybe the good one is missing one or two. Maybe.
I better write the artist because I thought he did them all. Okay.
Oh, okay. I just don't remember. It's been a long time. The point is,
someone wanted to watch so whoever played Deathbringer the best and lived the longest. By the way, the playthrough of Deathbringer, because people are like, you died so fast. That was an accelerated version where he was trying to do Tracy Hickman's. You got this for free. I gave 3 of these out.
Yeah. So unfortunately, I think that I don't think that was communicated very well. Is there used to be this very famous event that was run by Tracy Hickman when he was a little bit more, younger and a little bit more healthy.
He doesn't do it anymore? I thought he still did it. Or
no, he hasn't done it in years. Not that he's still, kicking around. I'm just saying, he's not the younger man that he once was. But he used to do this event on Saturdays or Sundays, and he'd do it in the morning. It was called Tracy Hickman's Killer Breakfast. And it was like kind of a meme joke thing where hundreds of people, it was like a 3-4 hour long seminar, and he would just each year try to kill more people. And it was just it was like you were just
you can do anything. You can say, what's the name of your character? And you didn't like the name of your character, he'd kill you. Right.
He'd be like, what color is your shirt? He's like, looks red, you're dead. It was very memey and over the top. Professor really liked that. And I think he was trying to do an homage to that. And I think people thought this is a factual representation of what Deathbringer is like. And it's in fact, some people were like, wait, I thought you had come back from the dead rules. And I was like, no, this is not actual Deathbringer in that aspect.
I think that could be especially since the stream was just watch Deathbringer be played live. Yeah. Some people may think that just is Deathbringer.
By the way, we are already talking about the playtest. I'm going to tell you right now, the rules that are in Deathbringer now will be very different than the final rules. I guarantee that.
And
So,
Steven says will, but what we mean is they could be. We're
well, they're
not
gonna be
so tied to
fine-tuned.
it. Professor has made it clear that he is not precious about the things that he wrote. He wants a game that is fast, brutal, and just plays well at
And
your
fun.
table. And so and it's fun to play.
Mhm.
And so if that means we're changing it, that's what he told us to do. That is his instruction.
And
Is
that's
to
also
change
why
it to make
we
it the
play
best that
test.
it's going to be.
And
It's
that's why we're
not
doing a
like some
play
kind of
test.
a like my vision is you can't change it. That's not how he is at all. So it is possible that anything that's in there could change. Now, it's possible that when people play test it, it winds up being really close in a lot of ways to what people want. We don't know. So we don't know. And a lot of people sometimes are used to video game betas where so much has been coded in that, yeah, sure, you may make some balance tweaks, but a lot of the main structure of it couldn't possibly change, or the video game company would go out of business by the time it got to a test. That's not true for this. It really could change a ton.
Yeah.
Or it could change less. That's up to you.
Well, that's also why Mark's going to run the play test, because Mark is he's that's his job. he'll be able to figure out the game
I'm
balance,
good at
the
it.
mechanics.
I've done this before.
Yeah.
I will make sure that it changes the right amount, which is difficult because sometimes you can wind up over changing based on playtest feedback, which is only from a subset. So I'm experienced with analyzing to make sure we determine what the symptoms are that people are seeing, find the root causes, and make the right changes.
Correct. And we did it for Eldamon, and it came out great. So.
Awesome. Yeah. The playtesters were really good there.
People love spicy Derik. Derik is on fire. Fire!
Will he be on fire at racquetball?
But what I was going to say was that just real quick to round it out, since I'm leaving and the stream's leaving. But there was, again, I just want to point out, it's not all about D&D. Vampire the Masquerade came out with an announcement. They're doing a 6th edition. A lot of people were like, oh, we were surprised because we thought they were doing this crossover with D&D and they just given up and put up their white flag. Nope, Vampire's coming out with 6th edition. I don't move in the vampire circles, but I mean, obviously that's a big deal. Steven already mentioned the Dungeon Crawler Carl, which isn't even released yet, but they had an absolute massive, Renegade Studios had an absolute massive thing there. And the fact that Renegade, took all their, the fact that Renegade basically took all their games out back and shot them in the head suggests that they're planning on putting a lot of emphasis into Dungeon Crawler Carl. Paizo is doing a Starfinder X Pathfinder crossover adventure path. It's going to be set in what's the world?
Numeria.
The one with all the robots.
Oh my god,
Numeria.
That's my favorite. Yeah. I don't even know that. That's my.
Yeah, it's very much like the Jack Vance dying Earth, right? It's got like primitive tribes people and crashed alien spaceships.
Yes. I love Numeria.
Yeah, so they're doing they also launched 13 Omens, which we showed before, which is a completely different game, by the way, people. It has nothing to do with Pathfinder. It's not even D20. It is
the only thing that is in both is the word omens.
Yes, that's right. Right, Age of Omens and Omens.
Lost Omens and 13 Omens.
It is a horror game. It is designed to be played in
a party game.
It is designed to be. It's more like Dread or Fiasco. It's designed to be played in one session. You get a pre-generated character. You play through 3 acts, 3 scenes. It uses this dice tension bag mechanic, very gimmicky. And again, it's one or done. You either succeed and you guys beat the horror thing, or you fail and everyone dies and the world ends or whatever. So it's not designed for campaign-based play. It's a very different aesthetic. We didn't talk about the Ennies, but
I know we didn't talk about the Ennies.
Needless to say, if you've watched Night's Last Call, you're familiar with most of the people that won the Ennies. Obviously, the big popular Daggerheart won a lot of golds, but some lesser known quantities, which people are finally turning on to, we did cover extensively on Night's Last Call. So if you go look up things like Dolmenwood or Legend in the Mist, you don't have your Legend in the Mist. I have your Legend in the Mist.
I know, but I'm bringing up
Stone Top did not win any. It wasn't nominated.
I don't even think it was nominated.
It wasn't winning. But
this thing is so beefy. I was starting to read this. This is going to take forever to get through.
Which is why we've been covering it for 33 hours and change, and we're not finished with book 1 yet.
It's so dense.
But also,
Too much.
the power, I also want to
It's
point out that
beautiful.
another one that won, I think it won 2 Ennies, is the Neon Odyssey people, but not for Neon Odyssey. They won it for Crooked Moon.
Now,
And the reason
like
that
4, I think.
Yeah, and the reason that stood out to me is because when we were at one of the PAXs, you got your Crooked
Unplugged.
Moon,
Yeah.
and we were looking at it together, and we said, number one, this is way too big, and number two, we were like, wow, this is actually pretty good.
That
And you
was
were like, well, it's
fantastic.
better. You're like, it better be. It took them like 3 years to deliver it or something, or
Yeah.
2 years to deliver it,
3
but
years.
it was actually a legitimately good product. And
Very
this is
good.
what Stephen was talking about broader. When you look, if you go look at the Son of Oak games, okay, if you go look at Legend of the Mist, if you go and look at Daggerheart, if you go and look at Crooked Moon, these are small independent companies, and the production quality. I mean, Legend of the Mist won, I think,
No.
our Golden Nighty for best layout and or best
I know that's very
best
very
best
good.
art,
And
best
Dolmenwood
graphical
is
design.
also insanely gorgeous.
It's beautiful.
Gorgeous.
And so and they're stepping their game up, and
Everyone
so it was cool to see those games win, obviously. I was pulling for Paizo to win Monster Book because our friend Jess Redicop was nominated through that. But, it was still cool to see these really great games that we've covered, that we love, win. And, yeah, I mean, I think it's, so yes, D&D was everywhere. D&D was the big thing. But, Stone Top was there. Legend of the Mist was there. Dolmen was there, and it was really cool. So
ironically, I have almost all digital because I just had too many books when moving from the West Coast. I was like, I have too many books, I don't have space for them. But ironically, because of the fact that I went all digital, I almost never have physical copies of like the winning any award winners. But this year, I have the gold and the silver because I have Legend in the Mist and Daggerheart.
right. And I got to chat with Avis, I don't remember his name, the guy who wrote Legend of the Mist.
Real quick, someone said, do we know what the pre-order numbers have been for World of Warcraft? I actually do know, and they're supposed to be insanely good, the numbers. So that's what I've been hearing.
Insanely good. There you have it from Steven directly.
So, well, it was a cool Gen Con. I do agree. It was weird. We had with the rain, the weather. I think part of the reason we had a good time, Stephen, is because we didn't have a booth.
100%.
Yeah, not having a booth really helps.
That actually helps quite a bit.
It does help quite a bit. We also had one of, if not the best Airbnbs I've ever stayed at. It was amazing.
You got a great one the time that Linda and I weren't there.
We were talking about how bad it was last time, but look, you
that was like the one before was the worst Airbnb that I've ever stayed.
It just was
well, by the time you took the third elevator to get to the top, it was
not only that, but the time that the door sealed and Linda couldn't get out of her room.
Minor quibbles.
Right.
Because of the humidity.
Mark says crooked.
So Mark T has given a super chat that said Crooked Moon Legend of Adventures has like 1 million subscribers.
Correct.
Yeah, let's not lie, Mark. Let's not pretend that like Daggerheart has done well. I think it's a great game. I think it's got a lot of cool promise. It also kind of sort of was, made by the company that it does Critical Role. So that helped, right?
I mean, it's the Emmys, but to get nominated, you have to be good enough to be nominated.
Won.
Okay.
And once you've been nominated, you will win if you have the biggest.
JP Cooper won, though. He won one.
JP Cooper won silver. Crooked Moon won. Legend of Adventures, 1 million subscribers, big actual play, yada yada yada. But Legend of the Mist won several silvers, and I think 1 gold. But they won several silver. And who's Son of Oak? Who's Legend of the Mist? Who's even heard of City in the Mist? Not many people. So yes, it's a popularity contest, and being a huge, gigantic actual play helps. But let's also not ignore the fact that that's some sleepers won. And for a small company like Legend of the Mist, or for a small company like Son of Oak, when your game wins an Emmy, it can put a lot of eyes onto your game that had never even heard of it or seen it before. So it can make a big difference for those companies, and I'm excited for them. So
yeah, and also once again, I forget to nominate my own games for the Emmys, but not next year.
This time I reminded you 3 times, and you still didn't do it.
The first 2 times the freaking website didn't work.
Fair.
And then the last time I forgot. But the first
Wes,
two times, no, it literally didn't work. I kept trying to submit and it kept giving me errors.
And that's what you're getting, the strongest nomination in
the nomination for the people who remembered the third time
yes.
when the website worked.
Yes, correct, everybody. You know, like Quinn's has such an outsized influence. It's actually disturbing in many ways. I happened to start my Stonetop coverage when Quinn's did his. That was just a random coincidence. And Quinn's did his Stone, and that was like one of my best performing videos of all time because everybody was looking at it. Normally, no one would have ever checked it out. Wes, you're completely wrong, man. The tags are the best part of Legend of the Mist.
I still got to read. I don't even have my copy. I got to get my PDFs for that, actually.
That being said, Simon, you are
I could go get my hard copy, Stephen, for once that you don't have.
Well,
you are completely. No, he has it. It's at my house.
Yeah,
no, I have to drop.
Oh, it's in Derik's house. Okay.
No, I bought everything. I literally gave them to Derik to have them.
Yeah, I woke up late and then I went out and then I forgot to bring them and then I was like, I have to get home and do the review. I know. Simon, you are absolutely correct. It is far too open and far too weird for most people to love, and that's okay. Not every game needs to, do $1 billion or even $10 million. A lot of these games can quietly make a couple $100,000 to $1 million a year, and that's enough to keep these, small companies afloat, and that's great. And Liv Gamer in chat was working the Hit Point press booth, our friend George, and he said they had big numbers for the week, and because Son of Oak was at their booth. So very cool stuff. Cool. Well, I gotta go.
All right. Well, until next time, everyone, if you want to support Derik playing racquetball and losing, you have to roll for combat.
Take care, everybody.
And don't forget, Deathbringer ends in a week.